Good evening, one and all. It's Sunday. It's the end of the week. It's time that we jump into some more good old Warframe. But before we do focus too much on that, I say music's doing a weird in and out thing. What's going on with that? Is it actually cutting in and out? Because it looks like it might be, and I don't know why. OBS, what are you doing today? Because I'm looking at it and I'm seeing it bounce between red and grey.
I'm feeling like a cat today.
Shouldn't be.
Meow. 3.
Anyway, LU, thank you very much for gifting a sub over to Crowned Ladybug. Much appreciated on that. And Shezbot, thank you very much for the resub there with your Prime up onto 17 months. You're feeling like a cat today. Well, you know what? I ain't going to judge. But fair enough then. Cheers. Cheers on that. Ellie saying it seems like it might be on your end because everyone else saying it seems fine. It's hard to say. Let me have a look at it now. Is it stabilizing?
Major systems revisit. Yay. /that said, I worry the pseudos got way more than the traditional exalteds. / I await your take on this.
You know, you don't need to do the slashes. You can just put full stops and the bot reads sentences like sentences. But all the same there, Ray. Thank you very much for resubscribing a tier 3 up onto 35 months of that. Much appreciated, Ray. Indeed. Cheers. No, it does still look like the music is trying to cut out slightly. What's going on with that? What is... Okay, I'm going to turn up the background music for everyone, just to see if it'll be clearer what's going on that. So it's going to be quite loud now, if it's coming through correctly. I can't actually hear the music that's going to the stream, because of the way it's set up. I hear music through a different channel. But I need to know if that's actually causing problems. That's louder. Of course it's louder, I just said it's getting louder, for making it clearer to hear if there's something going wrong with it. Is it coming through clearly, or is it breaking? Because OBS is giving me mixed info. It's louder, but it sounds okay. That's just dumb. Not in the mood for dumb today. Don't be dumb. Fair enough then. Alright. I'll just turn it back down to where it was, so it is back to being just background music. There we are. Okay, fair enough then. Well, whatever audio aside, Ellie just having Ellie issues, most likely then. Fair enough, and OBS, as ever, continuing to give me half the information rather than all the information, because if something bounces between red and grey, I presume it's got a problem, but I guess it decided otherwise. I don't know. I really don't know. Which doesn't help in the slightest. Technology, eh? Technology. Anyway, so we're going to be looking at the Statsticks workshop today. Dee did indeed post the workshop with the details as to the changes they are making. I'm just going to quickly sign in because it's on light mode and I can't switch it to dark mode without signing in, so let's just log in and go back to it. There we are. Right then. Let's have a look as to what actually is the breakdown of it. Wait, new Statsticks? Well, Jade, you'll just have to sit back, relax, and enjoy the details, because if you've somehow missed this after the last month of information, you're just going to have to find out the hard way, aren't you? Alright, let's bring this up onto here. This is the information they're giving us. Let me move my face out of the way a bit. There we are. That shouldn't be an issue. But let's walk you through. Alright, Hey Tenno was first mentioned in the previous dev stream. And on that note, Bite, thank you very much for subscribing with your Prime. Welcome back into the channel up onto 7 months. And Dark Wolf Seal, my god, they're all coming in today.
How are you? What Statsticks frames do you think are better or worse off with the upcoming changes?
So the stream has been live for 10 minutes? 8 minutes? Something like that? How do you think I'm going to have an opinion yet?
Nice to finally make a stream. My new class schedule is wild XD.
Weird Kid, thank you as well for subscribing with your Prime up onto 6 months. We got Dark Wolf with the 16, we got Weird Kid with the 6, Bite with the 7. Thank you very much, all of you there. And Ellie, thank you for the 100 bits as well towards the hype train. Cheers. Cheers indeed. Yes, seriously though, when a stream has been live for a few minutes, and I've quite clearly got the page up here of going through it, asking what do I think is better or worse with the changes, you can at least wait for me to review them on the stream. Good God. Let me go through it. Alright then. As first mentioned, D have been hard at work overhauling the pseudo-exalted whilst also giving current exalteds a boost. This dev workshop dives deeper into those changes. Also included details for changes to Ash, receiving some light adjustments similar to Nyx and Trinity reworks or adjustments in 1999. We're not going to go too much into the history of the details, but basically, in case you somehow missed what a pseudo-exalted is, they are abilities which use your melee weapon to scale the actual stats of the ability. Kind of a wild decision in the first place, but it's a decision they went with historically. Don't say, honestly, paid no attention, doing other things, thought the stream was already going. The stream is already going for a few minutes. Fair enough. I guess the full pot doesn't change the ability to completely miss how my schedule works. That's fine. That's fine. Anyway, I will absolutely mock every single time someone's completely oblivious to things like that. So in addition to exalted weapons, certain Warframe abilities summoned weapons that did not have the exalted treatment. These were to do exalted, yeah, we know about that. So basically, the changes for exalted weapons, they're all going to get arcane slots. They are going to get extra slots on the primary and secondary exalted weapons. So things like Mesa's Peacemaker is going to get the extra slot, but it's not going to be given to Baruch's Desert Wind. Yo! What we got there?
Small, wasn't in number 39, T enough. Tried the big, it was too much. Time to try the medium to see if it in number 39, SG was right.
How is the bot struggling with punctuation now, of all things? It's punctuation. This shouldn't be a problem, but all the same. Ray, thank you very much for purchasing yourself a classic The Kenji mug, I guess in medium size there. Look forward to having that delivered to you. Cheers. Seriously though, why is punctuation a problem? Come on, bot. You can do better than that. Hello there, John. Hey, what's up? Exactly why I stopped by your stream. Need your honest opinion. Should we pretty much just wait till next month for the rework? Just got Ceramic Dagger Incarnate. Want to use it on Mesa Prime. Don't want to waste former resource. Right, yeah. So, straight up, do not invest into pseudo-exalted or other jank right now. Absolutely do not. If you invest into it, there is every chance your investment is going to be completely wasted. So if you're not 100% certain what you're investing into, don't. Anything to do with exalted weapons or pseudo-exalted, if you are not certain what you are doing, hold back. Wait for the details. And even with the dev workshop, it is all just a workshop. This is not a promise. It is not a guarantee. As much as 99% of this will make it through to the live game, that 1% could be the detail that you looked at and went, oh, this is amazing. And you go, oh, that's too amazing, nerf. Or vice versa, you go, oh, wow, that's actually pretty crap. And do you have the same opinion? You go, yeah, we missed a beat, and buff it. So all of it is just a hold back, look at the details, get an idea as to what is coming so you can be prepared, know what you're doing as and when it hits, but don't go diving straight on it, certainly if you have limited resources. If you're in a position where someone has, 20 bajillion former, thanks to generous benefactors, then sure, why not? Go right at it. Most people don't have 20 bajillion former, and that is a technical term. So yes. The third thing they're doing is Acolyte, Amalgam, and Melee Combo counter mods are enabled for exalted weapons. Acolyte mods is a very grandfathered term at this point, because they originally dropped from the Acolytes. When the Acolytes were not a Steel Path thing, this was pre-Steel Path, pre-almost everything we care about these days. they had themselves a special set of mods that dropped from them, and that included things like Blood Rush. There's also the Amalgam mods, which in most cases don't really matter that much, but they exist. Amalgam Organ Shatter, Amalgam Barrel Diffusion, Amalgam Serration, those kinds of things. And then melee combo counter mods, there's a whole category of them. I think they're actually listed somewhat down here. Yes, they are, so we'll get onto that a little bit. There's a lot of mods which previously blocked are going to be unblocked.
Friend got me to play Elden Ring and I spent like 5 hours trying to kill a dragon with just a dagger while on horseback. I succeeded. How are you doing?
Hey, congratulations on taking down a dragon with just a dagger on horseback. That does sound like quite the challenge there, because dragons can kind of fly. It seems problematic, but all the same. Flo, thank you very much for your Prime sub there at 27 mums. Much appreciated. That's how I'm doing. Well, I have been thoroughly exhausted today after a very interesting day yesterday. I decided to push my boundaries on being social and ended up being far too social, and now my poor 30s body is recovering. How dare I? That's fine. I'm mostly recovered now, but that is with a lot of caffeinated tea. A lot. Mesa Ceramic Dagger specifically might be safe. We'll see, WordKid. I'll go through the details. We'll see. All of it should be working through. Ravage. Your use case for the phrase Acolyte mods was in regard to exalted weapons, now it should be truly dead. Maybe. Maybe. At our right age? I know, right? Although most people who don't know my age keep on guessing that I'm somewhere around about 24, so I must be doing something right. I'm quite happy with that. Alright then, so let's break down these bits and pieces. Arcane slots on Exalted weapons. The first major change, the addition of Arcane slots to all Exalteds and to Garuda's Talons. With regards to pseudo-Exalteds, they could achieve the effects of certain Arcanes on those pseudo-Exalteds by equipping them on the corresponding regular weapons. With the changes being made, those interactions have been removed. Specific Warframes that benefit from these effects will be receiving a new Exalted weapon, which is outlined later in the Dev Workshop. So here's my understanding on that. And I might be wrong, but this is my reading of it. It's that where you could currently put an Arcane onto your Ceramic Dagger, or onto your Kuvanuk or anything else like that, that would buff a pseudo-Exalted or Exalted ability, those buffs will no longer apply. That is my understanding. Those buffs should no longer apply, and instead you'll need to equip that Arcane directly onto the Exalted or pseudo-Exalted modding itself. I may be incorrect on that, but that's what this reads to me, that they are disconnecting any Arcane from operating on, say, your secondary, affecting Peacemaker. That's what I'm reading in that. Now, as for ones which interact across weapon groups, they probably should still apply because they're designed to operate across weapon groups. For example, if you were to put melee dexterity, secondary dexterity onto Mace's Peacemakers, that should still be buffed by getting melee kills with a obviously not exalted melee because you're Mace, you don't have one. So my understanding there is that Arcanes which are designed to target a weapon group should work, but Arcanes which are designed to target the weapon they're on shouldn't then carry over to another weapon in that category, just because it's exalted. That's my understanding on how those are going to go together. So likewise, putting a Gladiator mod onto your melee weapon will no longer buff up Desert Wind, it'll no longer buff up Whip Claw, things like that. And if you were to put melee exposure onto one of those, that also wouldn't carry through. You would have to put it directly onto the Exalted. That is my understanding on those. Now, if that's actually how they implement it, that is where the devil is in the details. Because, let's face it, Warframe is an exceptionally complicated game. From the math side of it, from the interactions between mods, all the way down to the coding aspects of it for DE's sake. Dear God, I fear for them. I really do. Cheers to Hydrate. Because here's the thing, is that even to this day, we have all kinds of weird, inexplicable interactions all over the place. We have interactions where a weapon will use, for example, galvanized aptitude in 3 different ways simultaneously. Where we will have a multiplicative effect, an additive with serration effect, and a non-effect on the very same weapon. And at no point does the game even try to explain that to you. I don't know if the game can explain it because it's, excuse the pun, a whole bunch of arcane nonsense. Yeah. Did exposure carry over to full exalted before? Not sure, I'll be quite honest. I reached a point of going, wow, this is just some mixed up BS, and paid attention to Lavos and guns. With the game being decade old, there's a lot of technical debt. Oh yes, oh definitely. And DE continue to refactor and adjust things as much as they can, and then more things come in as well because they've got to develop new things, otherwise the game becomes stale and people drop off. It's not like they could just put out 1999 but then say, cool, keep using Serration Hunt to munitions. The game has to move forwards. So, as much as this says explicitly that the arcanes will not interact from weapons to exalteds, there may still be interactions that go beyond just the apparent design intent. What arcanes would I recommend for Lavos Prime? I recommend you check out my Lavos Prime guide, because I have the answer to that question and plenty more in that video. Check out the video. Warframe 2 when? Hopefully never. Hopefully never. Yeah. Whitaker saying no Gladiator did something that's referential, because it was a set that included things off the melee, so it had to be a character buff, or at least so it's told. Let's not try and figure out how the code works, because that's D's job, not ours. We need to look at how the game works. Anyway, Exodus mod slot on primary and secondary exalted weapons. That's only going to be on primary and secondaries. My understanding is that because melees don't have any use for all of the Exodus mods, they're not adding it for the melees. I'm kind of surprised by that, because it feels like it's leaving a hole where there could be a utility later. That could be a surprise. As they say, introduce the extra slots, primary and secondary exalted weapons, matches functionality of existing melee exalteds. But then, what was it? It was down here. I had to glance at this. No, I'll find it as I come through it. I'll find it as I come through it. Melees already have it mostly, that's why? Mostly? Okay. You know what? I'll double check. I'll be honest, I glanced through this yesterday before heading off to the pub, so a lot has happened in between when I glanced at this and today, so I will work my way through it. Anyway, main thing is Exodus mod slot for primary and secondary exalted, so there's that. Right then, Acolyte, Amalgam, Melee Combo Counter mods, enable for exalteds, as mentioned just a little bit further up there. So this is the full list of what's affected: Amalgam Restoration, Argon Scope, Galvanized Scope, Bladed Rounds, Catalyzer Link, Amalgam Barrel Diffusion, Embedded Catalyzer, Hydraulic Crosshairs, Pressurized Magazine, Sharpened Bullets, Targeting Subsystem, Amalgam Oil Shatter, Blood Rush, Body Count, Dispatch Overdrive, Gladiator Rush, Maiming Strike, and Weeping Wounds. That is a large selection of mods, but you do have to remember that some of these, even then, still won't apply. For example, it says an example here, Hydraulic Crosshairs will not be able to go onto Mace's Regulators because you can't aim with Mace's Regulators. So that definitely needs to be taken into account. But things like Blood Rush is such a powerful slot for a melee exalted because it's 440% bonus to critical chance. That is absolutely huge. So yeah. Other exalted weapon changes. All exalted stances now grant mod capacity, a plus 10 capacity boost. How long have we been waiting for that? A plus 10 capacity boost on all exalted melees. finally, for so long, they have been hamstrung by just missing 10 out of 70 capacity compared to every normal melee. Meaning that even if you put in the same amount of formula and had the same amount of stats, the normal melee would then end up just better. And that was a real pain point for trying to mod them appropriately, especially when it comes to the former investments. So this is absolutely huge. This is absolutely huge, even just from a utility standpoint. So you no longer have to juggle around lower ranked mods or invest 8 formers into a hyper specialized setup. That's great. Everyone wins with that one. Remove the restriction preventing set mods. Excuse me. Being equipped onto exalted weapons from contributing to or benefiting from set bonuses. Honestly, it was kind of weird to me that anything along that line existed in the first place, but just removing those restrictions is great. So it says, with this change, set bonuses are calculated based on the active weapon. This does mean if you have 3 set mods on your Warframe, 3 on your melee, none on your exalted melee, you only get the benefit of 3 set mods whilst using the exalted melee, because the other 3 aren't active, and that makes plenty sense. This does mean any of those glad sticks, which were the only source of any kind of stat sticking for Baruch, are now out. Rightly so. It was very weird to carry over any kind of effect from one melee to the other like that. It was clearly just a mess. So that is a good thing. It does mean a reduction in the available crit chance to Baruch from outside, but then there are other things you can do, like using the new Blood Rush compatibility. We'll get more into that. Yeah, right, I do see that, yeah. Remove the interaction that caused the combo counter to reset when using the Zoris, Tenet Livia, or Tenet Grigori alongside exalted weapons. The simple reason on the removal of that is because they're no longer going to matter anyway. So, yeah. No longer doing those in, perfectly fine, perfectly reasonable. I don't know how many people were using too much of that infinite combo on these weapons anyway, if I'm quite honest with you. But it just makes sense to remove that interaction. Exalted Blade and Serene Storm now gain a melee combo counter. Now gain melee combo counter and trigger Tenokai from their exalted weapons' wind or energy waves, instead of only from direct hits. This was always a bugbear for me for Baruch in particular, in that building up combo was that much more of a pain, as the majority of the interaction from Baruch was from those wind waves. So allowing that to generate combo is again absolutely huge. That is absolutely huge. So a very good thing there. They are also saying for balance reasons, Desert Wind's critical chance has been reduced from 50% to 35% to accommodate specifically the above buff. I presume above buffs plural because it's more about the blood rush thing, let's be real. Let's be real on that. Slash Dash now scales the mods equipped only on the Exalted Blade instead of mods equipped on the regular melee weapon. And they've removed the interaction of Razorfly scaling with melee mods equipped on Diwata. This interaction was never intended, alongside only a few mods working with it. This one is an interesting one to me. This one is a very interesting one to me, because Razorflies broadly suck. Diwata definitely sucks. And apparently this interaction was never intended for the mods on the melee of Diwata to affect the Razorflies. I have to wonder how that happens. I really have to wonder how that happens, because how does the Razorfly end up gaining any kind of benefit from any of it if it wasn't intended? It's not like you just type Razorfly into code and then it decides where to connect itself. They certainly didn't add Titania into the game when ChatGPT was spitting out code to just copy paste in. So how did that happen in the first place? What part of it was truly unintended? That just feels weird to me. They're melee enemies, don't they? Maybe that's why. That's not enough of an answer, Deathsculler. That's really not enough of an answer. It's really not. A Razorfly is a heavily modded melee weapon, but why is it using Dewater's melee mods? Something, somewhere, had to connect it. Code doesn't just link to code, you have to actually connect them. Somewhere along the line, the Razorflies were connected to the melee mod system. They had to do that somewhere, it doesn't just happen by magic. So I wonder to what level it was unintended, especially as it only worked with a very specific set of mods. Very specific. But the big thing to take away is that if there's no other changes to Titania, which there aren't, that basically just says, hi, yeah, you see those Razorflies, you see that special modding for Duata, don't care about either of those anymore now. Just pick them up and drop them in the bin. And this is a shame because it was a unique interaction that you could status prime enemies that the Razorflies were going for, and those Razorflies would shred them. That's not going to matter anymore. That's just not going to matter anymore. So, fair enough then. Titania is getting a nerf. And incidentally, it's a nerf to something that I really would never have nerfed. It is clearing up an interaction which should have been cleared up, and I'm absolutely understanding on that. But the fact that that's being removed with no indication of any buff to Titania Razorflies to account for that, or any buff to Duata to account for that, that feels weird. And I can only hope that D have something on the back burner that they are working on, or would like to work on, after the major part of the update is considered. Yeah. Why can't we have moddable Razorflies with companion weapon mods then? That would give Titania a third exalted thing to mod. I don't know if D want to go to that level of mod options to use, but yeah. Practically makes Razorflies as dressing. Pretty much, they mostly then act as just distractions, rather than actual combat bits. And also, yeah, this is in the same update where Titania is going to be getting an an arcane on the Exalteds. So on both Duata and on Dex Pixia, which just means that Dex Pixia is getting stronger, Duata's getting technically weaker because it's less relevant and still a bit crap. It's a weird one. I'm not sure if do you have any other plans there, but it just feels a little weird that that was entirely unintended. Anyway, yeah. Gilbert saying, Twitch is saying I've run out of light requests, even though I haven't done any this stream. I actually see there was an early request which I didn't put through, so Byte, let me refund that for you. I never actually did it. You got a request for Urple. Alright. There you go. Yeah, sorry Byte, I've refunded you your one. Thanks, Ellie. And we'll hydrate. Cheers. Okay, so let's have a further look then. The new exalted weapons. They are being added to Atlas, Gara, Korra, and Ash. These are to replace the pseudo-exalted system that was operating on them before. You'll notice that Excalibur is not on the list there, and that's because Excalibur already has an exalted, so the pseudo-exalted ability of Slash Dash is just now going to be melded into the exalted, as it probably always should have been. It should have always been that way. So that's that sorted. You missed some of it? Not sure what you're about, Templar. Alright, the 4 new exalted weapons will have a base range of 2.8 meters, which adds directly to the modded ability range on your Warframe and can be enhanced with melee mods like Reach. Now this is a little curious to me. This is a little curious because my understanding is that they all operate in slightly different ways. So this Reach stat, we'll have to see just exactly how that works. Range times reach? Not range times reach, no. It doesn't say that. It says adds directly to modded ability range. Adds. Now, you can try and claim that D using the wrong word there, in which case, fair enough, let's trust nothing they have to say. I have to trust they have written what they mean. I can try and invent other words, but I have to trust that they've written what they mean. They're saying add. So if you have an ability range of 15 meters currently, then this would give it, with no other modding, 17.8 meters. It's saying 2.8 times melee range modifier. Well, it's not times, it's plus. Plus base ability range times ability range modifier. Yeah. So the modded ability range and modded melee range added together. Because all range mods on melees for a very long time now have been additive bonuses to additive fix bonuses to your base value rather than multipliers. They did that change a long time ago. Stretch your arc on stretch to reach out and smack someone. I mean, that's always been a thing. You could always add range to your abilities. That's just been a thing. But yeah, 2.8 is a very specific number. Having it out of nowhere and adding to it and then using the reach mods on top, fair enough. I guess there is just a flat range with Korra, Gara, Atlas, Ash on their cast range. And I presume that's what range we're really modding in, because Ash doesn't have a melee range, it's an ability range. Korra's range is the distance that Whipclaw can reach, but then it applies an AoE at that point. It's a thing. It's a thing. Maybe I'm just a little tired. Well, I am a little tired today, but maybe it's because of that tiredness. This just feels weirder to me. Could just feel like that. Do current story exalts get range from the base unmodded stat stick? No. Statsticks currently do not provide any range bonuses whatsoever to pseudo-exalteds. They just apply none. So applying reach to your pseudo-exalted at the moment is a waste. At least in so far as that. So yeah. This gives a purpose for melee range mods. Seeing exactly how that's going to apply is where that all comes together. Especially on Atlas. Atlas dashes towards enemies. Is this going to increase the range of the dash? Devil's going to be in the details. Devil's really going to be in the details on that one. With the new Exalted status, these weapons are now separately moddable, will benefit from mods that were unavailable to them previously, like Condition Overload, Melee Elementis, and Smite Faction mods. Let's not overlook this one right here. This right here is absolutely enormous. I actually didn't notice that one the first time I was scanning through this myself. Pseudo-Exalteds are now going to benefit, or be able to benefit, from Condition Overload. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. You can status prime your target for more than just the damage enhancing status like Viral, Corrosive, or Magnetic. You can just fully stack up whatever, and now your pseudo exalted, or just simply exalted, is going to be that much more powerful. Of course, if they got multi-CO, they shouldn't, right? Because that's not how CO is supposed to work anywhere at this point. But you never know, because it does work that way in some places, and then it doesn't work at all in other places. I get so tired of saying that. I get so tired of saying that, I will be quite honest with you. I get so tired of hidden conditionals. Awkward conditionals. Maybe unintended conditionals, given the whole Razorfly unintended thing. But yeah, and then Smite faction mods as well, so we don't have Smites for some parts of the game. Interestingly, the Smite faction mod inclusion also means that Raw might...
1 1/4 Striak Klet Skuchat.
Hey, Queen, thank you very much for continuing support on the channel here at 27 months with your Prime. Much appreciated. And cheers, Devil. NFS Devil for Hydrate. But cheers indeed, definitely, Queen. So, how does Raw currently work on Gara? Hold on. How does Raw currently work on Gara? Do I have a Gara with Raw? Otherwise, I'll try a different frame. Just one of them. I just want to know one of them. How do they work? Do I have a Raw? No, that's Raffle Advance. Do I have one on Atlas? Make my life easier, please. Don't make me subsume something. Aha! I do have a Raw one. Okay, cool. Let's just roll with that. Let's take out that strength bonus, just get this nice and flat. Simple test. Should be fine. And for stat sticking, let's get something absolutely basic. Nothing can go wrong with a heat sword. It's got no modding on it whatsoever. Perfect. No companion to interfere either. Right then, let's quickly test this out. How does Raw currently affect Atlas's attack? I think it should just give a 30% damage bonus. But if this is moving over to Smite affects Exalteds, Smite mods, and that being pseudo Exalteds, is that going to double dip? Buffing ability and weapon? That's where I'm just not sure where we're going with this. Oh, I still have my energy set to 0. That is cursed. That is very, very cursed. Let's fix that. Oh, not energy, effects. There we go. Yeah, fun fact, energy orbs are actually coloured entirely on the effects channel. I think the same's true for health orbs. Alright, so, punchy punchy. 9.7k. 9.7k? 9.7k. That's more damage than I expected right here, right now. Anyway, Raw. 13k. Yep. That is indeed a 30% bonus. So that's currently with the stat stick unable to provide a smite bonus. But it is able to buff the ability. I am really curious. Really curious as to how that's going to come together then. I'm really curious on that. Smite faction mods. Will we see a Raw double dip? Will we see Raw add to Smite? Will it be separate because of where do you leave it in the equation? Am I overthinking this? We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see on that. These new exalted weapons receive the same treatment as the changes mentioned above and should function like all other exalted weapons, with a few exceptions we're about to go over. Note that the new exalted weapons will not include an extra slot. That's where I'd read it earlier, as the relevant abilities cannot perform heavy attacks, Tenakai, parry, or block. Yeah, so the exalteds for Atlas, Gara, Core, and Ash, those are the ones that are not going to get an Exilus. And that's where I go, maybe this is a little short-sighted. Maybe this is a little short-sighted. Because, sure, currently, the melee Exilus stuff is heavy attack, Tenakai, parry, and block. Is that exactly and entirely everything Exilus for a melee? I can't remember. If we just go Exilus. So let's see. Heavy attack doesn't apply to the pseudos. Tenakai, 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 Tenakai. Blocking. Tenakai. Heavy attack. Parrying, so blocking. Tenakai, and again, parrying. So yeah, currently none of these mods apply to it. None. But it just seems a little odd. Like, if nothing else, there's the opportunity to have created some Exilus options for them. Like, if nothing else, like that's an opportunity rather than leaving this coding gap, but at the same time removing the extra slot, well, just not giving an extra slot to the pseudos. Fair enough. You can be short-sighted. For example, you can see landslide blocking while on dash the enemy. It's because it's all a bit of an awkward thing. They've kind of designed themselves into a corner with the way they're designed. These pseudo-exalteds now becoming full exalteds, but not still exalteds because they're only for the ability cast, rather than an ongoing weapon. Yeah. LSR is saying, guess the only defense is not letting new players troll themselves in capacity, but that seems really thin logic. Well, that's the thing, is that they said as well that they're making it where you can't equip the mods that don't apply. So that was up here. You will not be able to equip a mod for a specific exalted weapon if it's unable to trigger the requirements. So on these lot then, the Atlas, Gara, Core, and Ash, we can reasonably assume that Tennokai mods are not going to be equipable. So again, players that see an Exodus mod slot and then try to put in the mod and go, oh, none of them fit, why is this here, would obviously be fairly confused. It just feels from a technical standpoint, maybe that shouldn't have been done? I don't know. I'm quibbling and querying and digging through to properly hash out the good, the bad, the ugly, because that's what a workshop's for. Hash it through. They could, in theory, add a heavy attack later. Yeah, absolutely. There could, in theory, be the inclusion of a augment for Atlas, Gara, Core, and Ash to allow them to heavy attack. There could, in theory, be the adjustment to give them the ability to trigger Tennokai for your melee weapon. There could be, in theory, the ability to add an entirely new system that is Exodus compatible. It's really hard to say. It could be invisible until they do. True, yeah, they could add it and then just hide it, and that would probably be the best coding implementation, so they could add it later. Yeah. But anyway, it's just a thing of note that given all the refactoring they're doing, to then have an exclusion, I hope they are very aware as to their choice they're making there. I just hope they are definitely thinking that ahead. Otherwise, it opens up yet another edge case in future. That's all. Okay. With Atlas. Atlas now wields a moddable exalted weapon, Landslide. It'll be wielded for the entirety of the ability and only for the ability. Landslide is a pre-installed Orokin Catalyst, along with 2 Madurai polarities, Madurai being the V polarity. That is absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Let's see, Landslide's critical chance has been increased from 5% to 35%, and its status chance from 5% to 15%. Now that is worth talking about right there. That is absolutely worth talking about. If we have a look at the Ceramic Dagger, which is one of the most desirable when it comes to messing around with this stuff, the Ceramic Dagger can add a base 30% critical chance straight onto pseudo-exalted because of the way that the incarnate interactions happen. So this is the exact same bonus that Atlas is now going to get innately. So if you've been using the Ceramic Dagger to provide that benefit to Atlas, that crit chance benefit will no longer be needing the Ceramic Dagger. If you were using a status chance bonus, which is plus 30%, you're only going to get a plus 10% effectively after the update, but that's still in addition to the crit bonus. It is a mix of things there. So the crit bonus is huge. The status chance bonus, nowhere near as much, but still a positive alongside the crits. Yeah. Landslide retains its unique combo counter mechanic. Instead of using traditional melee combo, learn more about the ability combo counter changes section. Let's skip straight to that, actually. Let's skip to that, because on glancing through earlier, I was a little confused as to what I was reading, so I want to understand that better now. Since Bladestorm, Landslide, Shattered Lash, and Whipclaw are not channeled exalted melee weapons, DE have devised a new ability combo system specific to these weapons based off of Atlas's existing combo mechanic. So when they say existing combo mechanic, what comes to mind is, well, this. If I might do a lot of damage here. It's that. You see at the bottom of my reticle, now 4 times just kind of constantly bouncing on it. Each time I hit, I maintain that combo. That's what I understand for that. So, unless they're talking about something else, that's what it sounds like they're on about. Recasting their respective abilities within 1 second of the previous cast will grant you 20 combo points, which will increase the combo multiplier by 1 times. I'm guessing this is specifically because of the interaction they wanted to have with Naramon, but let's follow through. D have also increased the ability combo counter cap from 4 times to 12 times, so I just saw the 4x, that's going to become 12x, to align with the melee combo counter, meaning subsequent casts can be buffed up to 12 times the damage. By increasing our ability combo counter, our exalted weapon will receive increased damage based on the ability combo multiplier. Okay. Ability damage now scales 1-to-1 with this new ability combo counter, instead of the 0.25 times melee combo multiplier with pseudo-exalted weapons. As a result, D have also reduced the base damage of Shattered Lash, and Whipclaw to balance with the ability to scale higher with the new combo system. These balance adjustments increase the overall damage output when combined with the new combo changes. And then further mods are also going to build off of that, as with focus abilities like Namarand's Power Spike. Yeah, so that 4x I just had coming up, that's what's going to be scaling Blood Rush for the pseudo-exalteds. As doing 12 times damage punch is actually insane. It's actually, I think, a wash, because Atlas currently is buffed not only by that 4x effect, but also by your melee combo counter. If I switch myself over here real quick to the router, I can test that. Let's see, is this just... I want one that's just apply it as quickly as possible. Yeah, this looks like I'm just applying, give me nothing else. Good. Let's swap out the Ceramic Dagger to Heat Sword, just so I can make sure I break nothing, cheat nothing. There we are. So currently with a landslide, I can do 9.7, 19, and then a non-crit for 2.2. Thanks for the non-crit. I'm going to try punching it away from the edge there. 9.7, 19. Oh, it moved its hitbox. It's only 5k. Where? Hold on, what the? Where the fuck am I getting an orange crit from? Oh god, I've got melee crit damage shards and lots of them on here. No wonder I'm getting so higher damage, but like, what even? Where did I get orange? Cheers, Rivercan. No. Alright, that's got to be a simulacrum bug. Let's just reload the whole damn thing. Vigilante mod? Yeah, no. Dragowath. No. Vigilante affects primary weapons. Kavat buff? I swear to god, guys. Are you even watching the same stream? What fucking Kavat? Alright. Well, that was just a whole bucket of helpless. You know what? I'm going to grab a different enemy. This one's stupid. In fact. Or was it... Did I headshot with Atlas? Is that what happened? Did I headshot and Murmur have that special bonus to headshot damage? Right, let's get an enemy that doesn't have anti-hacks. Let's just grab a charger. Infested don't fuck around. They're low hit points, but they don't fuck around. 560, 1.1, 2.2. There we go. That's normal. That is normal. That's just working. So now, if I establish some combo real quick. Thank you. 12k. No, that's a crit. 2.1, 4.2, 8.4. So we see we are much, much higher. Much, much higher. In fact, we have about 4 times the damage. Probably 3.75 times the damage. That comes from the melee combo counter at the moment on our melee weapon. Separate from the actual Atlas combo. Now, that leaves me wondering then, what actually is happening here? What actually is happening here? So Atlas is retaining its unique combo counter mechanic instead of using traditional melee combo, but it currently uses traditional melee combo as well as the combo mechanic. The ability combo count is going from 4 times to 12 times to align with the melee combo counter, and the damage is scaling 1-to-1 with that instead of 0.25 times melee combo multiplier pseudo exalted, but that's separate from the 4 times thing. That's separate. And if it... This is why we don't use the same terminology for so many things, so many combos with counters from an ability. You're confused? I'm confused, gamer. I'm confused. It sounds like removing the scaling from the melee counter entirely, giving them its own ability counter. It sounds like that, but they're talking around 2 things at the same time, rather than explicitly stating which is in and which is out. They're saying ability damage now scales 1-to-1 with this new ability combo counter, with this ability combo counter being increased from 4 to 12. So is it new, or is it something being buffed? This is the kind of terminology that must not be juggled around. And I hope they are being very clear with their devs on this as well. I hope they're being very, very clear on that, because you can't call something new and increase at the same time. You can't increase something that didn't exist before, and if it did exist before, it's not new. We have a ability combo, or repeat ability bonus. I'm going to remove the word combo from what exists today to make this simpler. We have a repeat ability bonus, which means that on your second ability within the window, you repeat it for 2 times damage, and then your third and subsequent cast within the window get a repeat ability bonus of 4 times. Whereas your melee multiplier will give you 0.25 times bonus to your ability damage per melee multiplier. It's confusing when Pablo was trying to describe it on the dev stream as well. Yeah. This is a classic case of using combo counter too much. When you've got 2 separate things, you need to be very clear about them, and the explanation here isn't helping me. I'm going to shut that infested up, hold up. How am I hearing it so loudly there? There we are. So, again, Landslide retains its unique combo counter mechanic, which is, I believe, only otherwise used by Ember's Fireball? Is there any other ability that acts like Fireball on Landslide? I think it might just be those 2. Rhino Charge? Okay. So we've got Rhino Charge, Fireball, and Landslide, which currently use those. And to be honest, Fireball and Rhino Charge could also use a buff, so if they get a 12 times, I would be absolutely on board with that. Just saying. So Landslide retains its unique combo counter mechanic instead of using traditional melee combo. We're keeping one system, hence the word retain, and we're not using the other, hence the word instead. Recasting their respective abilities within 1 second grants you 20 combo points, increases combo multiplier by 1 times. Increase the cap from 4 times to 12 times, technically there is a cap of 4 times on the melee multiplier bonus. Because if you use Venka Prime, you get to 13 times melee heavy attack multiplier. And that 13 times translates to a 4 times total bonus to damage on pseudo-exalted abilities. So this 4 times cap is still unclear, but I think they're actually referring to the 1 second repeat ability cast bonus. And there's 4 to 12 to align with the melee combo counter, meaning subsequent cast can be up to 12 times. By increasing your ability combo counter, your exalted weapon receives the damage increased damage based on the ability combo multiplier. Also, that's a recursive sentence. By increasing this, you get a buff to that by increasing this. Come on now. Because this scales once one the new ability combo counter, instead of 0.25 times melee combo multiplier with pseudo-exalted weapons. As a result, we've reduced the damage of Shattered Lash and Whip Claw to balance the ability to scale higher with the new combo system. Yes, I think this does nerf Atlas. As much as this is a buff, and this is a buff, this is replacing the bonus you can get from the Ceramic Dagger in Kanon. And then this is a further bonus on top of that. But the damage multiplier is changing. You're going down from 3.75 or potentially 4 with Venka Prime. 3.75 if you're using any in Kanon, because Venka Prime obviously isn't in Kanon. Multiplied by the 4 times repeatability cast multiplier is a 15 times bonus. But now it's going down to a max 12 times, so that is a 20% loss from repeat ability cast. 20% loss in trade-off for effectively 10% status chance. Plus, if there's any carryover effect from... Well, it's not carryover, it's actual modding on the stat stick of the Ceramic Dagger. When translated over to Landslide, it should be fine. Should be fine. Gamer saying, I don't think Atlas is nerfed. If I'm not wrong, he gets a new multiplier plus his own combo window. Where are you reading that? Landslide retains the unique combo counter mechanic, sure, and it says learn more about it in this section. This section says Landslide and others are not such and such, so they get this new system based off of Atlas' existing system. Recasting will give you this bonus. Bonus goes to 12 times. Shattered Lash and Whip Claw being downscaled to balance it. Yeah. Ray saying, but trade off of raw damage, you get Blood Rush and Arcanes. Yeah, well, you currently get Blood Rush and Arcanes already. You get Blood Rush and Arcanes already because Landslide already uses the ability to equip something like the Ceramic Dagger in Kanon, which comes with the ability to select the crit bonus, which has felt weird since the get-go on it. I always thought that was a bug, but I guess this is how we're handling that bug. By changing the system entirely. So you can already equip Blood Rush to Atlas on the stat stick. And it just works that way. If I just equip this as is... Let's get another charger, because I'm probably going to obliterate the first one. Okay, and with my 100% ability strength, it's already dead. Yeah. That is a lot higher than the base damage I was doing before. And that's just with whatever modding I had left over on the Ceramic Dagger there. Yeah. Cocolet to say he does not, but he get full multiplier. He does not what? But he does get full multiplier from combo, so instead of getting plus ×4 plus ×3 ×7 question mark, he gets full ×12. That's your understanding. What? How are you coming to that understanding? swap this back out to Heat Sword, which is unmodded, so I should be getting... probably gonna still get some kind of crit bonus here because of simulacrum issues. Nope, 560. Okay, so 560, which reaches max 2.2k. Alright, 2.2k. Now let's max out my combo bonus. There we are, that's maxed out. See it there, 12 times. 8.4k. 8.4 divided by 2.2 is 3.82. That's rounding errors. So it is a multiplier to the damage. The 3.75 from my melee bonus is multiplying with the 4 times from repeat ability cast, giving us a total bonus there. We're reaching 8.4 versus the original 560. Oops. Of, what do you know, 15 times. So yeah, it's not a 7 times buff currently, Coca Latte. You've invented that. It's currently a 15 times, as double demonstrated now. So this is enough. There are buffs included, but that one is enough. And just the terminology is needlessly complicated. Needlessly complicated. Alright. What else is affected then? So Gara's Shattered Lash. Again, pre-installed. 1 Maduro, 1 Naramon. Okay. Shattered Lash now has a critical chance of 20%, status chance of 30%. No mention of a critical multiplier. No mention of a critical multiplier. If I head on over to the wiki, just to remind myself on that, I'm fairly certain Shattered Lash is a 1 times currently. Where is the detail? Yeah, 1 times critical multiplier, 0% crit, 0% status. So, I hope that's not an oversight. I do hope that's not an oversight, DE. Because to give it a critical chance stat but no critical multiplier seems just weird to me. Especially as we give that critical multiplier via incarnate weapons, specifically things like the Magister incarnate, I think is the big one for that. Yeah. Yeah, but it's all a mess of detail down here. It's a mess. Ellie's saying there are things later that specifically call it a 1 times crit damage that might be intentional. Things later. Hold on. Things later that specifically call it out. Where? This is Ash. This is ability combo. We've just been over that. This is Korra. This is the only Gara section. What are you on about, Ellie? What section am I supposed to be looking at? Can you quote the whole thing? Or at least a sentence I can control F4? Is that ability crit multiplier increased by Tenacious Bond? It'll be a new system, so we don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's a new system. I would imagine so? Yeah. The male Mandalorian, just to point out, you put 3.75 is equal to 0.25 times 12. It's 0.25 times 11. Because 1x, i.e. base, doesn't give any bonus. It's, again, just how it operates, annoyingly. Remember reading they called out giving something a 1 times crit damage. Remember thinking it was weird as hell myself to see. Okay, you'll find it. If I just control F1x. That's an increase of 1 times per thingy for the combo scaling. And this is Blade Storm. Blade Storm, critical multiplier of 1 time. Wait, what? Yeah. You know what? Actually, yeah, Ellie, I'll concede. You're probably right then. Blade Storm will have a crit chance of 5%, crit multiplier of 1 times. Status chance of 5%. That's tiny. What about Vitrica? Nothing about the Vitrica. It's just a sword. There's nothing special about it. Bladestorm has 0 times crit damage, right? That would suggest that when you crit, you deal 0 damage. Are you sure about that, gamer? Because my understanding at the moment is that Ashe currently has 2 separate damage types, or attack types, as part of Bladestorm. You have the ability hit, and then you have the shadow finisher hit, which up until recently you couldn't actually see the hit, hence why shadow finisher, but it was actually there. It was measurable via black boxing. Yeah. Just again, Bladestorm attacks are finishers, which are guaranteed to crit. They're not guaranteed to crit. And some finisher animations can headshot. Alright, but yeah, Ray, finishers aren't guaranteed to crit. That is a separate thing entirely. Finishers are guaranteed to land finishers, because they're finishers. They get the finisher multiplier. Any crit multiplier with finishers in classical finisher calculations is additive to the stealth bonus from finishers. Additive to it. Which is why I usually advised against modding into crits when doing a finisher-based weapon, because you've already got so much from the stealth attack. But they don't guarantee crits, no. That's separate. The yellow pop-up you'll see is stealth hit, not crit hit. And the fact that D uses the same colour for both stealth hit and crit hit confuses people even to this day. I think Miralabe and I had that discussion a few weeks back now, because it was affecting Evara with Jewel Ichor. Yeah. Fun! You know, up to date on Ashe Bladestorm critical interactions? Alright then. I appreciate your assertion earlier on something you're not up to date on, fair enough. So no crit Bladestorm shenanigans. It's hard to say if there's anything much to come of that. They say that Bladestorm could neither crit nor apply statuses outside the 4/ box. Since finished damage is already very strong, Bladestorm received a nominal increased balance. Also, is there a little bit of grammatical formatting there? Bladestorm could neither crit nor apply statuses since finisher damage is already very strong, or is it end sentence and then since finisher damage is already very strong, Bladestorm received a nominal increase for balance? That sounds like a weird formatting issue. I can't tell. Because you could crit. I'm sorry, but this is just inaccurate. This is what hurts me here. This is just objectively inaccurate. I can't comment on what this is supposed to mean because it's just wrong. I demonstrated this myself with the modding setups that could be done for the stealth finishers. I'm fairly certain of that. Hold on, do I have to bring up my own Ashe guide? It'll be easiest if I go through Patreon. Hold on a moment. Let me dig up my Patreon on this. My posts, search posts, Ashe. Especially includes damage calculator for various parts of Bladestorm. Oh, I have a damage calculator for Bladestorm. Sweet. Let me have a look at that. Let's see. Raw effects ability, not shadow clones. Justification raw is cast on available allies. Shadow clones do not exist to receive the buff. Thank you. Clips no effects. Have a silence, not enhance proc damage from ability. Wow, that's weird. Extinguished dragon keys do not seem to affect shadow finishers. Oh, really? Huh. Combat scaling appears to only affect ability. Yep, fair enough. And then crits were measured. Crit, no crit, proc damage. This shows several signs of huge impacts. Get a search. Okay, yeah, I see how that's coming together. So yeah, crits were working. Right then, cool. Thank you, past me, for actually having a comprehensive damage calculator on Patreon. Yeah. Crits did work, so this is bullshit. Are they talking about Bladestorm ability hit versus clone shadow finisher? Doesn't matter, Ray. This is how much it doesn't matter This is supposed to be the rework of Bladestorm. They're changing it to a single hit. They're changing it to an exalted weapon. They're making it considered a dagger to allow you to equip weapon-specific mods like Covert Lethality. They're making all of those changes. But there is a whole lot going on with that ability currently, including 2 different types of hits. They can't just ignore that. They can't just ignore that. So, this unfortunately I can't comment on because the very thing about it is wrong. Bladestorm could crit, and it could apply statuses, and we could utilize that. I measured it. They're simplifying it, aren't they? They're trying to simplify the ability is the guess, but this... To be honest, I don't want to doomsay about this. I don't want to doomsay. So, I don't have a tinfoil hat, so I'm going to grab tinfoil ears. This is now the fill-in for a tinfoil hat, okay? Tinfoil ears. If they're going to post that it didn't crit, it didn't apply status, and they're balancing around that, then all I can take from that is... that they're missing an entire part of the ability and balancing incorrectly. So, DE, for the love of God, by my jiggly little ears, do not make that mistake. Do not miss the fact that Ashe has 2 separate types of attacks in the same ability, with entirely different ways of operating. Right then. So yeah. Silliness out the way. Ah. Not happy with that. I was just going to ignore how he's able to get those so quickly. It's from off screen, wasn't it? They're right there. They're right there. How am I storing them? They're on the floof of the thumb, but they've been there for months. Merlin said, are these changes going to affect his energy economy too, since you can no longer get refunded? Honestly, yeah. Remains to be seen exactly how you're putting all that together, but yeah, probably. Yeah. It's all a thing. This all feels weird to me. The claims you couldn't crit, the 5% with a 1x multiplier, so you're having to use all kinds of other bonuses to even get it to mean something, and that is at the opportunity cost of using something else. You wonder why it's there in the first place, because if you don't invest in the crit multiplier, then this 5% literally doesn't exist. If you only apply 1 mark, don't use less energy than before. We're not really sure, to be honest. We're not really sure. We'll just have to see how all that comes together, unfortunately. But this just being wrong concerns me. Anyway, let's look at the rest of this again. So, skip through various bits. Gara getting a crit chance, a status chance, and no note of a crit multiplier. Based on that, it looks like it's going to be a 1x multiplier. A 1x multiplier, if you don't invest into improving it, means that this crit chance is pointless. Even if you do invest into improving it, a 90% increase, which is what Organ Shatter gives you, yeah, that's a 90% damage increase when you crit. Crit chance coming in at 20%, status chance 30%. I'm guessing that is to differentiate it from Landslide. Landslide is more damage focused, Shattered Lash is going to be more status focused, and that's cool, that's workable. Base damage is reduced from 800 to 400 damage, fair enough. There is no note here about it using either puncture or slash, so I'm going to presume it's still going to be 100% puncture base on the piercing attack, 100% slash on the sweeping attack, which does mean that melee Doughty is going to be in full effect only on the puncturing attack and never in effect on the sweeping attack. Only the thrust, never the sweep. Rip melee Delty, I suppose. Rip on that setup. The status chance of 30%, however, is a huge bonus to the slash in general, because you no longer need to force that status chance in somewhere else, like with the ceramic dagger. So you can use Weeping Wound, status chance, that'll give you 150-ish% status. And then build into... I mean, you can just build into crits in general, because if you don't want to go elements to keep the slash status happening, you can have the room to get Blood Rush, Gladiator Might, Organ Shatter, that sort of thing into there. Maybe not Gladiator Might, you'd probably use Galvanize... the other one, you know what I'm on about. The one that does crit chance, crit damage. But yeah, the lack of a base critical multiplier still feels rough. Dadbury saying it's not listed, but they all have 2 times. Okay, Dadbury, link please. Link, you've made a very specific claim there. So, they being, I'm talking about Gara's Shattered Lash here, so I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong, I'm assuming you're talking about Gara's Shattered Lash. So, where have they been posted? Alright, cool. You're timed out. Fuck off. Trust me, bro. Not acceptable on this channel. It ain't funny, it makes you look like a dick. And being a dick, not allowed. Go away. Alright then. Gara's damage coming down from 800 to 400 is keying into the fact that, unlike traditional Exalted Melees, it's going to use the same combo counter mechanic as Landslide, which is this bit down here. So that should be going from the 4 times bonus to a 12 times bonus at maximum. It's also means you're going to have to use the ability to get it there. And it means you won't be able to get the router to scale it there, because the router buffs melee combo, not ability combo. So in that regard, that is a nerf. In that regard, that is a nerf. Because currently, if I grab Gara for demonstration purposes, don't know what the build is, don't care what the build is, it's just a demo. Hello, Charger. Do I have 2 chargers? Oh, I have 2 chargers. Well, you can both get the hit. So you see, unlike Atlas, there is nothing adjusting the damage there. Every cast is the same. And likewise with the slashing, every cast is the same. So in order to build up damage, you build up melee combo, which can't be done with Gara directly, so you have to use either your melee or the router, or something that gains combo that way. That's how you get that to work. Now, if we are moving over to an ability combo system rather than a melee combo system, then the router is no longer going to be an option for building it up, and meleeing is no longer going to be an option for building that up. Isn't trust me bro, I mean, don't think you meant that as a smart ass answer or something. So, here's the problem with that, Toadsy. You're trying to excuse someone's claim of, hey, this is how it works, a claim which is counter to the information we have, both existing and future, and then when challenged for, okay, so where are you getting that from, their answer is a meme? How does that make it better? What about that makes you think it is more acceptable and more helpful to this stream? There are many things which are memes and would be inappropriate there. Just because it exists on knowyourmeme.com does not make it the right thing to do. It's just Twitch chat you think it's kind of harmless? Yeah, it's just kind of harmless. You're right. That's fine. If it was so harmless, I wouldn't have timed it out, would I? You may be misunderstanding that every Twitch stream is the same. A lot of the people that come here because this Twitch chat is not filled with meme lords trying to get their 5 seconds of sillies in. We're actually, you know, gamers trying to play a game and understand it, not meme lords trying to be haha best funny lols. Get dem kappas. Apologies if my 30s are showing there. Alright. 1 second. He said right after he checked, don't know what he checked. Yeah, he was bullshitting. So bullshitters get timed out. And if they get timed out too much, I just time them out forever. Mirrorlabe, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs to the community there. It's gone out to Library Cats, to Canna Craig, to Karant, the Evil Gopher, and to Walter Storm. Mirrorlabe, much appreciated on that, thank you, and I hope you have yourself a good day. Oh. Cheers indeedy. Now yes, Dee did say in the workshop here that if I go Naramon, here we are. Mods like Blood Rush, Weeping Wounds, and Body Count will, as well as focus abilities like Naramon's Power Spike, will work with the new ability combo counter system. Yeah. Do I like Terraria? I'm okay on it, yeah. So, this means if you have Naramon equipped, then the ability combo will go down partially over time, rather than going down fully. And that is the entire reason there is this 20 combo point gain system. Now, what's up with body count? I forget the exact details on body count. Really, thank you very much for giving a sub over to Selancy as well. Much appreciated on that. Selancy, make sure you say thank you on that one. Yeah, it's just combo duration. So they're saying that combo duration will apply. Now, hang on. Hang on. So now that's another detail that's missing, or at least not explicitly covered, because... Yeah, no, it actually is. Recast their respective ability within 1 second of the previous cast grants you 20 combo points. So within 1 second, body count gives a 12-second increase? That's huge! That almost becomes mandatory. Because even if you're running Naramon, you would need to be casting every couple of seconds or so to try and maintain that. So every okay, no, Naramon, you could get away with once per 5 seconds, but this, if you're not using Naramon, this would be basically mandatory. And Gladiator Rush would be better overall? I mean, in a lot of cases it would be, yeah. Any kind of combo duration, you'd only need the one, but that one would be mandatory. So body count, corrupt charge would be a negative. I wonder if this would even apply. Gladiator Rush, drifting contact, because that's 10 seconds versus 12, but you also get the status chance bonus. So like, and it's even easier to fit. 9 down to 5. Seriously, this mod is underpowered. What the hell is that? Look at that. Look at the difference on that. So drifting contact would probably end up being a mandatory slot if you're not using Naramon. Because 1 second combo window just is not enough to maintain it a lot of the time. When you're talking a 12 times combo, that's a lot of combo to lose after 1 second. Nah, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. Because the normal melee system doesn't have a 1 second window, and even the existing Exalted ability on Atlas, I didn't think it was 1 second, was it? Let's see, duration 105, so if there's any effect we'll barely notice it. Needs a target to activate on, sure, I have to have a target down here. I can compare against the Arcane. Maybe it is. Ultimately, that's still just kind of wild to me. Elisa, also note that drifting contact is now allowed in Exalted, whilst body count isn't. Is it in the ability info? Oh yeah, so it is. Yeah, combo window is exactly 1 second normally. Yeah, you're right, it is in the ability window. So anyone who was counting that incorrectly, well, we're all idiots, aren't we? It was literally in the ability information. Oh well. But yeah, that's quite the change there. Sorry, say, I read it as the weapons will have a normal combo counter than works traditionally, but that you can essentially gain a whole free tier if you recast in a window, kind of like how Tenekai works. No, that doesn't make sense. Sorry, that doesn't match what we're reading here. You're saying that they have their own combo gain, but they currently don't. Well, at least, yeah, in the case of Gaara's Shattered Lash, it literally gains 0 combo. That's why you have to maintain it somewhere else. Whereas other abilities like Whip Claw and Landslide do gain combo. So they're separate in that regard. Secondly, D, you're making a point of separating out the two. It's not melee combo, it's ability combo. This doesn't sound like it is a free gain, it is the gain. And beyond that, it's more a question of what are the ways to prevent the decay. If you're not using Naramon, which they're specifically calling out will work, if you're not using Naramon, this is describing it as having a 1 second cooldown. They're not talking about any other kind of decay timer, just a single 1 second timer. Granted, they're not actually saying anything about it running out. If we took this technically, if this was the textbook of how the ability works, there is no mention of it running out. Technically. The only indication of it running out is this here. But we know logically it has to run out because that's how Landslide currently works. It just only talks about the gains, not the losses. This whole thing is missing some of the really core details. It's killing me. Yeah. Like, we can infer some of the details, but the details of those details are missing in places that hurt me. We've got objective inaccuracies when talking about crits. We are missing the info as to how long the combo window sticks around for, if it is indeed that 1 second. And if it is 1 second, is body count and things like it supposed to just completely overwhelm that? How many casts or energy is it even to get 12 times for 1 second? Well, if you're gaining 20 combo points for a 1 times multiplier per cast, then that would suggest you need 11 casts to finally reach that 12 times. And if you then let that run out without a Naramon bonus, all of those 11 casts up to that point will need to be redone. Your damage will drop to 1/12 of what it was until you rebuild that combo again, which is a far cry from what both Atlas has currently and all the others have currently. Atlas only needs 2 casts to get back to max combo on his unique combo mechanic, which isn't actually unique, whilst melee combo can be maintained in many other ways, and certainly doesn't last just 1 second. This is why it's a workshop. This is why it's a workshop, that there are going to be gaps and details and things which D may have overlooked or just didn't think to talk about, didn't think to finalize, maybe it's all in the works. But this is the frustration of trying to dig through this, and this isn't the first time I've had these frustrations with DE, I'll be quite honest. This is a recurring theme as to both the word choices they use and the way they reference existing features, as well as new ones. You spend a significant amount of time trying to understand how they might be thinking about it rather than just reading what they have to say. Yeah. 275 energy to get 12 times 1 second by default? By default, yeah, that's what that would mean. And if this is just purely copying the Atlas system, it would show that you can use duration modding to maintain it, but that's just constant spam. And it's not like you can, well, yeah, you can't just hold down the first ability because enemies are dying. You would need to be constantly retargeting, and they're not always going to be in the perfect spot for that. Oh yeah, no, I can't hold it down at all, actually. So that is spam every second, or less if you duration mod. Oh, it ran out. Oopsies. There went all my 12 times. They're dead. Let's go to here. Oh, no, it ran out. Yeah, that'd be painful as fuck. Even with 300% duration, it's just 3 seconds. Yeah. If you've ever lost a single stack of melee, primary or secondary merciless, then even with 400% duration, this would run out on you. If you ever lose a single stack of primary or secondary merciless. Now I want you to think as to how easily you run out of one stack of primary or secondary merciless. Yeah. And this is why Naramon is so beloved. Even though the rest of Naramon is very so-so, this is why Naramon's so beloved. Because it's so all or nothing. And if anything, that keys into a separate other thing that I've talked about at length before now, with regards to Naramon and combo. Is that this in particular, created the combo issue. And created the need for Tennokai. To give you all an explanation as to why I'm going through that, like, if Blood Rush didn't exist and Weeping Wounds didn't exist, then Tennokai would be nowhere near as mandatory as it feels at times. If you ever want to touch a heavy attack, it would be nice. Hey, let's get a heavy attack that doesn't consume the combo. Beautiful. But it's only because that throwing away your combo loses all of the power of these and similar mods that people are then so protective of it and go so far as to use Naramon. If Blood Rush didn't exist, Weeping Wounds didn't exist, any other combo scaling one, then combo would be back to its original use, which is, hey, you've done a lot of melee attacks, congratulations, have a really strong heavy attack. And then that's been translated into a damage boost for pseudo-exalteds. And now we're looking at a 12-time stack system there, rather than a 2-time stack from 2 hits. It's all a thing. Here's Malum. Game set, I wonder if you can equip Melee Crescendo, I wonder if you can activate it for your Pseudo Exalted. That's a very good question. That is a very good question, because currently I need a different weapon. I'm not putting an Arcane on that, just to look at it. So currently Melee Crescendo, on finish a kill, gain 6 initial combo for the rest of your mission. One would assume that the finisher doesn't require it to be with that specific weapon. But that assumption only goes so far, given that it's on the melee. You can't just put it somewhere else. Actually, no. There's a curiosity. What if Ash? Where are you at? There's level 2. Didn't stack it. Didn't stack it. Okay. I don't know. Oh, that's so many questions of all of this. Ray saying mercy kills use the powers on, not the actual weapon. Oh, and do mercy kills count? Ash does stack it, just needs to be the actual finisher hit. I'm so glad he's getting changed on that regard, at least. No clue. Oh, you just mentioned it out of... Anyway, that's what we're talking about. Okay, fair enough. Thanks for a reminder. Slightly different phrasing. Maybe it's a North American thing. Or maybe it's just a people who are utterly, constantly pissed off by this phrasing in general. Okay, so let's grab Full Mint. Do I have an unmodded setup? Good enough. Let's get an Eximus for a test. You hopefully shouldn't die instantly at level 10. Hopefully. Oh, okay. No stack. So no, that doesn't apply. There we are. Despite being a finisher. So yeah, I don't know about melee crescendo. I really don't know. How is that going to work going forwards? Is that going to work going forwards? With regards to pseudo exalteds, I don't know. I really, really don't know on that one. Alright. And then down here on Korra, Korra's base damage changed from 300 to 150, but is also gaining the landslide system. So what this would mean is that currently Korra... Remind me exactly how that works. Yeah, currently Korra just goes bam, bam, bam. Yeah, so... This would give Korra half the current damage, because Korra is having no crit bonuses or anything whatsoever, so you just get straight half damage normally. But you would then be able to scale up to 12 times rather than the 3.75 times of the current melee scaling bonus. Now the thing is that you can currently already stack and pre-stack the melee combo. So in circumstances where you're pre-stacking, you would be at 3.75, and instead you're going down to 0.5. Which means you'd lose 7.5 times your damage. Oh, sorry, you go down to 1 over 7.5. In other words, you'd be down to 13% damage. Then scaling up to 12 times, at maximum, this would be a 60% damage buff. But from what I understand as well, Korra could also benefit from the 60% damage bonus of Kuva and Tenet weapons. Let's shut up the cat. So it might be a wash in that regard, but then you could also, and probably should also, use Incarnans instead, where specific Incarnans, like the Ceramic Dagger, or like with the Magister, give even stronger benefits here. Yeah. Okay. So, bring that all together. Yeah, Korra's nerfed. Yeah, Korra is nerfed by this. There's no argument about it. Korra is definitely nerfed by this. Miralabe, thank you very much for giving a sub over to Zomtronic. Much appreciated on that. Cheers indeed. Cheers indeed. Yeah, this is 100% a Korra nerf. Now, it's not like the biggest Korra nerf ever. I'm not saying Korra's dead, but this is a Korra nerf. Despite being able to use influence and like. Okay, no, that's a fair question. That's a fair question, despite being able to use influence. Because Korra currently can't. That one taken from that. Ken, are you sure? Put Crescendo on weapon. Just checked, and Mercy worked to stack it. Oh, bollocks. Did I switch? Ah, did I switch between things? I didn't equip it. Never mind, I may have made a mistake there. Yeah. Thank you, Dalen. I think I selected it, but never actually clicked it. Or was I on my glaive? Okay, well, let's just do this anyway. Right. Stabby, slappy. I'm not going to be able to tell this thing has a lot of fucking combo to start with. Ah, for God's sake. All of this is annoying. Ah. I just wish the game would fucking work. Right. You. There we are. There's no combo shenanigans. No nothing. It should just do the test. We got the 6 combo from the hit. Still 6. Okay, so it is applying. It's still applying. Right, okay, yeah, it is actually working. God, why is this so hard to tell? It was actually... Looking at UI elements for everything else. Oh, okay, right. Anyway, back to the thought on Cora. Cora. If we grab Cora, and we grab... Actually, we can just use this. Influence. There we go. Weeping Wounds. Electric. Shocking Touch. Voltaic Strike. Fuck it, Focus Energy to put even more into there. Status Chance. Melee Prowess. I don't want to use any others that could mess with the weightings. Let's just do it like that. This gives a lot of electric, a lot of status focus. If there's any kind of influencing we can get out of it, that'll be there. Right. Yeah, it should be sufficient for just minimal verification. Kill. Let's get a whole bunch of charges because they're nice and weak. There we go. Venari, I need you to sit right on me. Don't go anywhere. Don't cause problems. So, oops, heavy landing. Didn't mean it. There's influence. Good. It might actually be out of range. Cat, I told you to heal me. Stop attacking. No. No. Bad kitty. I wish I could disable Venari. I honestly wish I could disable her because she just gets in the way so much. I need to reproc influence now. All of these are dead. Might as well just gain the bits over here. There's influence. Let's just use an entirely new group. Okay, so that definitely just hit this one. Did not spread to the others. Yeah, so gaining influence on Cora would be a buff. But that's because influence is crazy good. So, yeah. Just tell me if you're away will be enough. I mean, I've got Helmut, so for that slot, it just means you lose control of her. You can't get rid of it entirely. Alright.
Your waves lap at our shores. When will you land?
I have no idea what you mean by that, but Ronald, thank you very much for resubscribing here. Up onto 26 months. Much appreciated. Cheers indeed, Ronald. Satisfactory. Oh, I've never played it. Is blue my favourite colour? No, it isn't. So, Whipclaw's base damage is going down. Then there's the loss of the 3.75 times bonus from melee combo, which means that before building up bonuses from just using Whipclaw, you are down to 13%. With repeat casts of Whipclaw, which granted a lot of builds are designed around, you will end up at 60% more base damage, for lack of a better term. But that's ignoring that you get no bonus from progenitor weapons, which would be a flat 1-to-1 change at that point. No bonus from incarnate weapons, because you can no longer use the incarnate perks. Gaining influence, assuming it applies, would be great. But that is assuming that it applies. As much as Whipclaw is going to be gaining the exalted weapon treatment, triggering it is still a question. Because currently we can benefit from melee exposure, it's my understanding. In fact, I can verify that right now. Let's put melee exposure on here. Had enough with guessing today, so I'm just going to put this on. And let's see if I land some simple corrosive procs. Yes, I did. So with no corrosive bodying, corrosive is happening, melee exposure does work. So if DE just moved the mods over from modding your melee to modding a exalted melee, there's no guarantee that melee influence would even begin to work, unless DE have said it elsewhere, which they haven't said here. So if they've said it in a dev short or a dev stream, and I've just not memorized it, well, let's face it, they said a lot of details. There was a rock concert at the end of the world to distract us. Outside of influence, we already gained the benefit of melee exposure, so melee exposure moving from one place to the other is a wash, that's not actually an improvement. So yeah, if the arcane is not an improvement, we already have access to them, just via our pseudo. We lose the benefits of incarnants, we lose the benefits of progenitors, we get half the base damage, and then we have to build up our combo rather than using melee combo, which can be done with router or just a good melee. Instead of that, we have to build it through casting the ability, which we may need to spend a mod slot on maintaining, or be locked into Naramon to keep hold of. Dalen, it's not 20% trigger, it triggers constantly once active. You are definitely misunderstanding. So, on melee status, electricity status, 20% chance. Elemental melee status effects to apply to enemies within 20 meters for 18 seconds, cannot refresh while active. What it means is, when you apply electric status effect, there is a 20% chance you activate the arcane. It was activated. So whilst that was active, every single elemental melee status effect applies to all enemies within 20 meters. I applied a singular status effect and it did not spread, so it showed this was not in effect. Despite it being triggered on the melee weapon, it was not in effect on Korra's Whipclaw. That was verification there. So yeah, It's confusing? It is confusing, yeah. I mean, looking at the wording on it, Misunderstanding Arcane works? A lot of people do, don't worry about it. Yeah, so it's on melee's electric status effect, there is a 20% chance for all of your melee status effects to apply to enemies within 20 meters for the next 18 seconds. If you move the 18 seconds up here, it's 20% chance for 18 seconds of elemental melee status effects apply to enemies within 20 meters. If you move the duration time up here in your mind, you should be able to read it through then. But yeah, it is technically correct. It's just that the 20% condition seems more attached to this than it is to this. If it was a constant 20% trigger per every status effect, then the timer would be meaningless. Yeah, it's cumbersome. It's not the best explained one, and certainly there are worse explained mods out there. Hello, Galvanized Aptitude. This one continues to confuse people, and I absolutely understand it every single time. Yeah. As I'll say, as much as influence doesn't need a buff, the chance should probably be removed for clarity's sake. The chance is there, so you can't just have a token electric proc here or there. You have to actually get them consistent enough that it turns it back on. It's also why there's a no refresh on it. You can't rely on token electric procs. You need to have a substantial enough amount to make the trigger happen. It's part of the balancing of it. Whether it's balanced or not is not my concern. I'm just addressing why it's made that way. That much I can see. So yeah. So looking at this overall, Atlas seems to be coming away like a king in the stats here. No change to the innate critical damage as mentioned, but doesn't Landslide already have a 2 times? Does it actually? Wait, I can't remember. Landslide. Yeah, it has a 2 times. So Atlas is definitely much more crit focused. It's already got the 2 times. It's just going to scale even more nicely. If you were using the ceramic dagger previously with it, this is basically just an all-round buff. He's got a lower ceiling on his status compared to what you can do with Incarnans, so D are definitely making him more the crit one. With Gara, Gara's going to have crits, but there's no mention of a crit multiplier. Currently it's 1 times, which means that unless you mod into that, or maybe if Tenacious Bond applies, we can't know until it's released. Without something like that, this crit chance is actually a dud, and I hope that doesn't trick people. The status chance, however, is huge. It is great for the slash basis. With that status chance as well, you could also make a melee doughty thrust attack work, but thrust attacks kind of suck. Purple shards maybe too? Yeah, any source of crit damage. We don't need to list them. The damage, however, is getting nerfed down to 400, which kind of already starts to undo stuff going on. You could already buff that up to 3.7 times or 4 times for the appropriate melee weapon. And now you're going to get a 12 times, but you need to be casting abilities first. You can't pre-build it with your melee combo. Which is a thing. Yeah. As I'm saying, stupid, or is it unclear how 1+4 will be affected by any of this, which is the main use of 1 as far as I know. That's a very good point, actually. Mass Vitrify. People use 1 and 4. Mass Vitrify on explosion. If Gara strikes her Mass Vitrify with her Shattered Lash, the barrier is shattered and destroyed in an explosion of glass fragments that inflicts Shattered Lash's damage and a bonus damage on top of that. Explosion is radial, not dependent on direction Gara strikes. Gara must strike a currently intact portion. Yeah. I seem to remember something about the crit implications of that. Maybe that's just in my head, but I seem to remember there being something about crits or not crits. Melly's saying, yeah, since a 4 is object health, it can't be crit. I'm just going to verify in game what's going on at the moment with it. Gara. Hi there, you. Let's grab the ceramic dagger in Incarnan, which is currently set to crit bonus. Let's, sure, why not? Melee doughty it. Yeah. This should go all over the place. Alright, let's give ourselves the router in case we need to use that as well. Is it set for combo generation? It is now. And our actual Gara setup is strength, range, fuck all duration. And we've got strength shards, max energy, and energy regen. That's fine. Yep, cool. Okay. Let's get some charges in. Only a handful. Actually, no, just one. Just one at a time. So, if I were to do a puncture hit on it at the moment, 8.4k, no crit. And with a crit, I should have a chance of a crit. .9, hello. 71k. There we are, 8.4 or 71. Good. So now let's see what happens when we add in the ability here. 11k, no crit. 11k. 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 If I cast it its direction, will it hit it as well? It does. Oh, that way I can verify if I get a crit or not. Unless they're rolled independently. Actually, they could be rolled independently. Oh, it killed it before the walker. Damn it! I need something stronger. I need something stronger. Let's go with an Elite Lancer. The difference in numbers due to armor is going to be irrelevant. We can work through that. .845 or crit of 7.1. Thank you. Oops, I was out of range. Please don't fall off. Oh, he's so gonna fall off. Yep, there he goes. God damn it, I ragdolled him out the goddamn arena. Ah! Want a new one. Okay, we got the crit, but nothing on the wall. It's hard to say for certain, but it looks... Wait, did that one already fall off? Oh, for God's sake. It looks pretty clear-cut to me. Yeah, the wall is not benefiting from the crits. So, where does that leave us in terms of the wall? In terms of all of this. So, Gyro gaining the crit chance, but not actually be able to utilize it without a crit damage multiplier. And it still doesn't actually tie into the wall bonus, or effect of the wall, is certainly a thing. It does mean, however, if you're using the wall with her one, yeah, you can't benefit from Doubting, because as much as Doubting's giving you that crit bonus, it's pointless, because it doesn't apply through the wall. That's just not changing. That's a bit of a weird one, really. Yeah, that is a bit of a weird one. Don't know what to really make of that. In terms of the overall damage output you can get, then, switching from melee bonus of 3.75 to ability bonus of up to 12 times, that is a buff, but then you lose this here, so that is a nerf. So I'll say, yeah, people use Cubitelic for wall stuff. Yeah, and because you can't use that going forwards as well, that further 60% makes this a flat equal. Worse when you consider any building up to that 12 times. Yeah. Okay, well that's... I mean, I suppose we weren't looking for buffs, so that's fine. It's... The nerf on the build-up to it feels weird. Because you won't be able to use your melee or router to get to the initial melee combo. It'll build only from the casting of that ability, and again, I'm hoping it's not with a 1 second cooldown on it. I'm really hoping on that. Here's another question. Here's another question for you. And this is a question without an answer. I'm posing this as a question for you to, unfortunately, just be ready to look for the answer for when the patch notes hit. If ability combo count changes includes mods like body count affecting the new system, body count is a melee combo bonus. Does that mean that body count or other combo extensions that might be on, say, your Warframe would affect your ability combo? Because we can get combo bonuses for melee combo on our frames. Yeah, dexterity. Dexterity is a big one. You've also got the benefit of melee guidance from your allies. You've got the benefit of swift momentum for yourself and allies. Those exist. You've got the dexterity arcanes, and then you've got just general melee combo on your melee weapon. Are those going to carry over still? Because if not, are we looking only at the things that mod onto the Exalted as a edge case? And if they're on the Exalted, will they affect the combo duration of the melee? And if they do, is that even intended, or are we going to get that on release and then go, it's a bug? Ah, this is... Yeah. This whole section here is just filling me with "we will see." Power Spike's not modded onto the Exalted. It's not. It doesn't have to be. This kind of thing can be just hard-coded to also help their mythics. So it just mixes it up. Can you make Trauma Prime good for Steel Path? Yes, you can. Given the set bonus nerf, we have zero idea how it'll go. Not be able to carry over set bonuses from other places, I guess, yeah. Alright. So, Korra is nerfed if you were using Incarnans. If you were not using Incarnans, it kinda potentially is a buff. Potentially. Maybe. Yeah, if you were using Incarnans, it's a nerf. If you were using Tenet and Kuva weapons, it's a wash. And if you're using any other weapon, it's potentially a buff. For Gara, it's a bit of a weird one. It's a bit of a weird state. There is definitely the loss of the Ballet Doughty setup, which is only very recent, so it's kind of hard to count. Outside of that, it is broadly a buff so long as you can keep up the new combo system. Because you didn't have a status chance before, you had to incarnate that in. She didn't have a crit chance before, you had to incarnate that in. For Atlas, even if you were using a incarnate before, this is still overall likely to be a buff. There's no damage drop, except the information down here is incomplete. And if this information is as it seems, Atlas is getting a base damage nerf, kind of counteracting the benefits of this, which then ties into how that works or worked with incarnate weapons as well. I think Atlas gets a bigger range as well. True, yes. All of them are getting slightly bigger ranges on their cast ranges, and the effect of negative range on your build is going to be less painful. There is definitely that too, yeah. I don't know if this is really that much of a change. It's Gara's range. Without range mods was only 10, so the base would be 12.8, but range mods won't care for the 2.8 on that. Yeah. New system penalizes not spamming. There is that, yeah. If you don't want to spam, you have to Naramon, and you're almost certainly going to have to find some way to extend this duration window as well, unless the duration window isn't 1 second, because they're technically only talking about the building here, not the decay. Technically, none of this actually says what the decay is. Technically. There's also reach you can add. I would probably assume that reach is a bad idea. Unless they're doing something crazy. I'm going to assume that reach is a bad idea. What's the default range on this one? That's radius, not range. Where's the range? Why do I have to go to the wiki to get the range? Dash range is a fixed 12 meters, not affected by range. Okay, so that is a more noticeable buff there than for Atlas. There's Atlas colors. Thank you. You do negative range could be useful. In the case of Atlas, negative range would have no effect. So that's just a pure buff to Atlas. In this case, the 2.8 extension. Yeah. So it's just how do we give kind of a massive headache? It's a recurring theme of looking through DE's own development of going, okay, so what does this actually mean? What does that one mean? What does this one mean? What's the other one mean? So yeah, Atlas, more range, innate crits and status, or more innate crits and status I should say, removes the reliance on Incarnans in exchange for also removing the Incarnans, loses the ability to have an Incarnan crit damage bonus, which is going to hurt, straight up. Straight up. W saying 280% range prime reach for 10 meters of AoE. 10 meters of AoE? Hold on. Are you understanding that Prime Reach is going to extend the AoE of Atlas, not just the dash range? I get that they're unclear on that, but you seem to be acting with certainty again. The frame range sure does. Yeah, frame range sure does. Not sure on reach. Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know. The way they've described it is that they'll have a base range of 2.8 meters, adding directly to modded ability range on your Warframe, and can be enhanced with melee mods like reach. If they're going to make Atlas's explosion just have a 2.8 meter buff, that's huge. That is absolutely huge, considering the current default range is 2 meters, then 4, then 6, which they don't seem to be talking about in the slightest on the combo system. But an extra 2.8 meters, just even on that initial impact radius, that's a big buff. Reach does increase the AoE? Yeah, we know that. That's just on the ability card, yeah. That's weird if they would have a reach stat on these when they have multiple ranges. And here's the thing with the AoE. If the AoE is affected by it, that's different to glaives. Because glaives have a reach and an AoE. Yeah, they have a range, 1.25 meters, which is abysmal. But then they have their AoE on their heavy attacks and just any explosions, but it's disconnected from that range. And it's why you don't see primed reach on a glaive, because it buffs up the range of a normal melee swing. It doesn't buff up the AoE of the explosions. Which is why it would feel weird to me if this 2.8 range bonus affected the radius of Atlas and Korra. And I would imagine it would be the range that the ability lands at. Because that's the only way it could make sense for Ash. Ash doesn't need a reach whatsoever. Yeah. Wonder what happens 10 years Razorwing? Good question. Removed the interaction. That's what. Removed interaction of Razorflies scaling with melee mods equipped underwater. Apparently never intended. So yeah, if you had fun with that one, sorry, no. Please enjoy Duarte gaining a melee arcane, and please enjoy Dex Pixia gaining a gun arcane and a Exilus slot, so you can have fun with those, but your Razorflies, yeah, they weren't supposed to be having fun. Titania is getting both buffed and nerfed. They're buffing the common Titania stuff that everyone uses and enjoys already, and then nerfing the niche Titania side of it. But I can understand wanting to remove the stat sticking. That makes sense to me, because that's what this whole update is. It's just weird that it doesn't have any component to go, by the way, Razorflies are now getting this to make up for it. Razorflies are cosmetic. Razorflies can still be a distraction. Yeah. That's their job, distract. It's kind of sad that that's all they are. Right. And then there's the Ash bits, which is Shuriken is buffed, more Shurikens, contributes to melee combo counter, cool, more duration, Fatal Teleport baked in, very nice, Quicken Teleport, gives you parkour bonus, doubled with Mercy Kill, very nice, extension of Smokescreen, very nice, and Blade Storm is getting changes with a weird crit claim that unfortunately is bullshit, so we are stuck on that one. Yeah. Funny to remove the interaction, but allow it for Excalibur? Allow it for Excalibur? What interaction is being allowed for Excalibur that you're on about there, Saft? Will we see an arcane slot on what is effectively an arc melee? Is that first? That's a fair point, yeah. It's a melee rather than an arc melee, but it does act like one. I get what you're saying there, yeah. Exalted mods work for Slash Dash. So that's more of a pseudo-exalted ability connecting with the existing exalted weapon, which just makes sense. I get you where you're coming from, like, oh, one thing's working and one thing isn't, but you could already stat stick slash dash, then moving the stat stick over to the existing exalted weapon, rather than creating a slash dash exalt and an exalted blade, which would be weird. But I still find it odd that, more than anything, I find it odd that the interaction was never intended up there. That's the full thing on that. Right, okay. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about all this. It mostly seems to come down to Gara can enjoy innate slash builds on Shattered Lash. That's a big one. Straight up. Innate slash builds with Shattered Lash. The difficulty on getting the crit scaling for it is odd. Atlas is going to enjoy innate crits, no Ceramic Dagger required, Ceramic Dagger Incarnate required, so that's great. Again, loses the ability to force in crit damage from Incarnates, but that's not the end of the world. The token status chance bonus is supposed to say, hey look, this is a crit first one, whereas this is a status first one, so that's cool. And Whipclaw, outside of if maybe Influence works, and I still don't know that Influence would work on it, because it's not a melee attack, it's an ability. Outside of that, if Influence doesn't work on it, this does feel like a nerfed Whipclaw. Because it's not getting any compensatory bonus, other than, hey look, this goes from 4 to 12, so 12 times bonus, but also losing the 3.75 from meleeing, and losing the ability to use the 60% or any other bonus from Tenet, Kuva, or Incarnate weapons. Cheers, bye. What have I missed at this point then, chat? What have I missed? Walk me through it. Without saying just a single word in chat, because if you say a single word, I'm going to mock you. What have I missed so far? If you're using Korra's loot dome, you probably don't want to use Influence anyway. Valid point, yep, you want them to get to the dome, not die 20 yards that way. Alright, Shungle, your name is silly and your face is silly. Have to make a mod set for Razorflies. They could do that, or just give them different stats than they currently have. Depends how they want to go on that. Titania's Full Moon Tributes now only useful for companions, I guess. The companions that get disabled when you're in Razorwing. I think this covers it all. Titania over 3 exalts would be really, really funny. Yeah, it would be odd to have a triple exalted, and honestly, just giving Razorflies a compensatory buff. We're fine. The interaction never intended. How long even was it in then? How long? Cocolata say Ash's combo builds 20 per mark, so he gets to 12 times super fast. That's a good point actually. Recasting their respective abilities within 1 second, the previous cast will give you 20 combo points. It says recasting, not hitting. This just actually, yeah, this really further shows how this doesn't have the information we're looking for, because Ash has augments around this. We've yeah, this one right here, right? Yeah. Blade Storm attacks increase your melee counter by 4, and the whole reason for doing that, plus the combo duration bonus, is that it's scaled with melee combo counter. So, if they're using now an ability combo system, do the hits generate combo for the ability combo? Or do they generate melee combo which they can't actually benefit from? Does Rising Storm generate melee combo that they can't benefit from? Or does it generate ability combo, or will it do both? These are the details we're missing with this brand new, but actually not brand new system. Sorry, I feel like they should have done a proper system demo in the stream rather than trying to crunch it all to a text workshop. I'm fine with them not doing a demo. I don't need a demo because we wouldn't be able to ask all of these questions in details. We've been here on this stream a couple hours looking at this. My issue is that it feels like this section and this section ignore how the game actually works. Like, it gets halfway there, but that half isn't enough. Maybe 80%, but that 20% makes all the difference. Imagine if you took 20% out of your own messages. I'd be able to understand almost nothing. Merlin the Age is saying, again, that 1 second timer is only in reference to the window to gain combo, not the actual combo duration. Okay, Merlin, you say and again, but it's more they haven't given us the info and we're trying to figure out what are they actually communicating. Yes, recasting respectability within 1 second of previous cast gaining stuff only says for gaining, but they are repeatedly saying throughout that Landslide is the source of this combo mechanic. Landslide retains it, and if we go back into here, into Atlas, grabbing Landslide, Landslide has 1 second combo window. It is the existing one. It's not just the window to gain it in, it doesn't sit there forever. After 1 second, it runs out. That's the point there. When DE don't talk about the detail, we have to infer from what they've been saying up to it, but this is the 20% I'm talking about that's missing. Are we actually looking at a 1 second decay window for all of these abilities? Are we looking at only gaining scaling one at a time per cast? Are we looking at using any kind of combo duration mod on the pseudo exalteds to explode that from 1 second to like 13? And why did they misspell Shattered Flash? That's a tiny detail. Let's not focus on that one. From Zon, another dumb question. Does anyone else run the core or loot ornament just because they have some, not because the loot is that important? Wait, ability combo was increased to align with melee combo? Sorry, darling, where does it say that? Because ability combo was not increased anywhere previously. I literally just showed Atlas having a 1 second, so where's the extension? That would indicate melee combo is still there. Oh, you mean... Right, not melee combo duration, which is what we've been talking about this entire time. You're talking about melee combo. And yes, melee combo still exists because you have melee weapons. They're saying align with melee combo counter, and... unfortunately, knowing DE, when they say align with, they only mean matches. Thematically. Hey look, this combo goes to 12 times. This combo goes to 12 times. They don't at any point throughout the rest of it explain why it needs to align with the melee combo counter when everything else is taking it away from the melee combo counter. All they've said is just to align with. So, I mean, to be honest, I glossed over that as just, yeah, they're doing that because they want them to align, but your very call out there points out just how ridiculous that is. Why would it need to align with the melee combo counter, on top of calling everything a goddamn combo counter? Is there no better word we can use than combo? We're using a 20-point system and 1 times multiplier game up to a max of 12, and I think it's probably just because of Naramon's power spike. I think it is entirely because of that. Dixie saying, I think it's to make it have the same system, which is supposed to make things easier. Ironically, makes it confusing, because now you got 2 similarly operating systems. But like normal melees, they don't gain a damage bonus on their combo counter. That's part of the quirk to begin with. Yeah. Crepuscular won't work in core anymore, right? Well, that's a big ask because the update's not even here, but let's see what you're on about. So Quora with... There you are. Oh, wait, sorry, no. Gain ability strength for final crit multiplier. I mean, that could apply to Quora. There's nothing to say that shouldn't apply to exalted abilities. Does it not work on Ivara? Elisara said, just assume the new weapons have the base 5-second combo duration. Gain per hit is normal. Benefit from duration mods are normal. Narrow power spike. Okay, fast recast will add for free in the window, but agreed language does not communicate that well if the case. Exactly, yeah. They're missing all of that detail. They've gone into all of this about how it's a unique system, copying from Atlas's Landslide, which has this 1-second window. There's no mention of duration scaling. There's the thrown in bit about body count, which is frankly wild to just throw it offhandedly at the bottom down here. So, and there's no mention as to gaining melee combo turning into gaining ability combo, how that works, because Gara doesn't gain ability melee combo, whereas Korra I think does, Atlas does, Ash does, weirdly. Yeah. So yeah, Miss Kills Jr. Crepuscular gives a crit damage bonus to everything whilst invisible. If it works on Ivara and Ivara's bow, then it should work on Korra with the update based on how you've given us the information. But again, we're in that 20% of missing information gap. What are the odds of all this being explained, well, endgame when the update drops? Yeah, Well, my answer for that is actually going to be Atlas. Atlas is going to be my answer on how well explained that is. How far can Atlas dash with Landslide? And what affects the range at which you can dash with Landslide? I'll give you all a moment. Those of you who were here earlier, you already know, but those of you who weren't here earlier, see if you can figure it out. Just looking at this in-game, how far does Atlas dash with his Landslide? That should answer the question as to how well explained the update's going to be in-game. Yeah. Might be a stupid question, but do exalted weapons get stealth bonuses? Exalted melees should, but I don't know for certain because I haven't tested those specifically for that. As I'll say, in fairness, a good amount of our questions can be answered in a few seconds in-game. Yeah, by just testing everything to see, oh, how did they code this one? How did they code that one? Yeah. Elisario saying, only thing Crepuscular doesn't work on is specifically Jaya's ability due to a specific fix. Oh yeah, because Jaya has the ability to crit her abilities. Yeah. Turns out, when you force apply crit bonuses to things that aren't usually supposed to have them, number go burr. Who knew? Gotta love these exceptions. It must be difficult for DE as well, trying to literally code around all of these exceptions and design intentions, but yeah. I don't envy them in that regard. But if they could figure out what they were communicating, that'd be great. Saturday also they didn't mention Atlas's 4 augment. Maybe it's slightly explained generally through the workshop, still unsure. Remind me. So we're talking... Which one is it? Rumbled or Titanic Rumblers? Let's see. Augments. Which one? Rumbled. Okay. Let's have a look. What's going on with Rumbled? In PvE, Atlas will be encased in stone armor and unequipped all weapons. Health multiplier, blah, blah. Ability, blah. Immunities to blah. Thrown boulders deal blah. Orbit shares similar functionality to pseudo-exalted weapons. Affected by Incarnagenesis perks. Unlike pseudo-exalted, throws are treated as if making physical contact with the equipped melee weapon. So throw kills are treated as made by that weapon. That's weird. Boulder damage is calculated as base damage plus 1 times 1 plus damage mods times 1 plus elements mods times 1 plus strength mods. Doesn't build combo. Combo doesn't increase damage. Oh dear god, no. What? Affected by stealth damage bonus. Affected by damage, aura, physical elemental faction status, weapon augments riven. No mention of crit bonuses, but Incarnans can apply. Oh god. Yeah, they haven't talked anything about that. There is no mention of anything about that in here. It is possible that that might now work off Landslide Exalted Weapon. But yeah, there is absolutely no mention in here about that. Nothing in this post even begins to address Rumbled. And given that Rumbled is running off of different stats, it literally has different crit stats, status stats, damage stats, functions entirely separately. Elemental Sandstorm? Oh god, yeah, there's that as well. I keep trying to ignore that. I keep trying to ignore that one. If we feel confused about this, I just want you all to remember, we are each individuals here who just play this game. We're just people on the internet having fun, or scratching our head trying to figure out where the fun is. DE have to do the work on all of this. DE are going to be hearing and receiving all of this feedback. I know that DE do pop into creator streams, like this one. There is probably going to be someone at DE who's seen the title Statsticks Revisited, what can we do now? They're like, ooh, Kengineer's talking about it. Alright, let's listen to that as well. See what feedback Kengineer's giving. And they'll pick up that feedback from all over the place. They'll be checking Reddit, they'll be checking the forum posts. They won't hear and see everything that people do, but they will be picking up bits. And they're going to be pouring through those details and matching it with their own concerns and considerations internally. And they will be scratching their heads far more than us. They are going to be scratching their heads far more than us because they have to actually figure out the answers to these questions. They have to make sure it actually does come together. So if they hadn't already thought about Rumbled, then you know there's going to be a meeting about that going, oh shit guys, right, make sure that connects up, we need to communicate that. What are the differences? What do we need to account for? Where are the coding issues going to come from on this one? What balance is this supposed to have? Where's the balance document? I assume they have balance documents. Right? Mirrorlave, thank you very much for gifting a sub over to Warframe themselves. Cheers indeed for that. I don't know if anyone from the Warframe account is going to be here to thank you for that right now, but all the same, cheers on that. Yeah, did you know you could just gift subs to any random username, even if that person's never ever been to the stream or doesn't even log into their account? I've seen on some streams some very, very weird gift subs. Very weird ones. There you are. So yeah, D are going to have to consider the interactions with Atlas Landslide actually having 2 combo systems at once. They're going to have to consider Gara's interaction with Mass Vitrify and how they want that to work, as well as interaction with the Tenet and Kuva weapons. It might be they wanted it to balance out to exactly the same max damage. See on that. They're going to have to consider the interaction of Korra with Arcanes, whichever they wish to turn on or not, and the actual damage scaling as a result, and any losses due to not giving a compensatory benefit for the loss of Incarnate boosts. It could be they want to nerf Whipclaw to be pre-Incarnate again. It could be. This here, they're going to have to consider what duration they actually want. They're going to have to consider, is it necessary to go for an exactly 12 times melee combo matchup? Are they going to keep calling it ability combo? I hope not. I'm fairly certain they will, but I really hope not, because that's not a good name for it. All of that lot. And if they haven't learned it already, they're going to have to learn that Ash's Blazestorm crits. Just not every bit of it can crit. They're going to have to learn that too. And then deal with it. We get to sit back and just criticize. They're the ones going to have to actually deal with it. Melee Infant's Core is going to be scary if she's allowed to run it. Yeah. I don't know that she will even work with it, honestly. Infant's Core might not even work because the amount of damage. If you apply the proc, you apply the proc. It spreads. But there's no guarantee it'll even trigger, because it's not a melee attack. It's an ability attack which happens to scale off of melee mods. Because I don't think it counts as melee kills even, does it? If I switch to Korra real quickly again. Let's get Venari to sit still. There we go. Kill off the enemies. Give me a brand new one. I'm currently at 7 melee kills. I'm now at 8. Oh, it does count as a melee kill. Oh. But it doesn't... It's a So... So it's an ability attack, not a melee attack, but it counts as a melee kill. But it doesn't trigger influence. But it does get benefits of melee stuff because it Statsticks off melee bonuses. So wait then, if I use primary charger, said no one ever. Alright, Venari, again, sit the hef still. Oops, that killed them all. But I didn't see a primary charger. I might want to... I wish I could just delete Venari. I wish I could just delete Venari. Not forever, just for the purposes of testing. Okay, no triggers yet. I haven't seen any triggers of it. Oh, bollocks. I held cast, I was supposed to tap cast. There we are. Right. Now if I just melee, immediate trigger of it. Immediate trigger, yeah. So it... Okay, so... It melees, but it doesn't melee, but it melees, but it doesn't melee. Not for an Prime Claws, I just... The companion will avoid attacking, didn't work. Didn't work. Anyway. That's just another thing that doesn't work. So, Korra's Whipclaw is an ability attack that counts as a melee kill for the stats, but doesn't count as a melee kill for primary charger, that doesn't spread status on melee influence, but gets the benefit of melee exposure as a melee attack, because the benefits are on the melee weapon, which buff the not melee ability that counts as melee, but isn't melee. Oh dear God, I am struggling with that one. That is... The fact this game works pretty damn impressive. I mean, all of it works. It's just how it works is different. What we're looking at is either inconsistencies in design or maybe C and D class bugs. You got A class bugs are the ones which make the game literally unplayable, and so they have to be resolved. You got your B class bugs, which are seriously detrimental to gameplay, so they have to be resolved. You got your C tier bugs, which are affecting gameplay, but you can get through them, and those can very often get put to the side. Like, for example, with the mods on Titania affecting the Razorflies, Titania's Dewater affecting the Razorflies, that would probably be considered a C tier. It's affecting gameplay, but, you know, we can get past it. And then you got your D tier bugs, which, let's face it, who gives a damn? Things like the bug Shatter Lash. That would be considered D tier. Okay, whatever, it's a typo. Someone can get around to fixing it. If somehow fixing typos took 2 hours of work, it would probably never ever get fixed. So yeah. I don't drink for content to that for comfort. Very true, yes. I just have to have lots and lots of tea and shoot people on video games instead. That's how I get through it. Alright. Now, the final thought from all of this is, does this change how you mod the setups? And outside of the whole weirdness with body count, combo, 1 second, 5 second, watt second, melee combo duration from primary dexterity, secondary dexterity, all the other dexterity-like things, aside from combo duration, I don't think this really changes all that much. A good landslide build already wanted to build into crits. If you weren't using Incarnon or Arcane Avenger to give yourself crits, you were doing yourself a disservice. Yeah, true. There's no Rivens, so that's the single biggest change to your building. No Rivens, no unique melee mods like I forget which one. There's some 100% bonuses out there that people like to talk about, but they're not actually that important. Status chance modding becomes more of a thing for Landslide, especially if you wanted to lean into a status focus on it, like you go for a heat build, so that could matter more. Into Gara's stuff, you can actually get real slash output without having to rely on a Incarnon like Ceramic Dagger. But there's still the lack of melee crit damage without just shoving a whole bunch of shards into her and using Tenacious Bond and things like that. I suppose you could use like Tenacious Bond and Arcane Crepuscular. Give Gara Invis somehow, and then you could enjoy all the benefits there. That might work, but yeah. Losing Riven, gaining Blood Rush, Weep Wounds, about net even. It depends on the Riven, to be honest, because Blood Rush and Weeping Wounds is a lot of power. It depends on what your Rivens were before, but yeah, if you've got a really high functioning Riven, on top of, say, something like the Ceramic Dagger, yeah, that's wild. Thinking about it, that's a lot. Where is it? Let's go. Ceramic. Do I have one? I'd be surprised if I have one. I have one. Oh. Well, isn't that nice? Oh. Okay. Yeah, that is a bit of a wash, isn't it? Shit. 297% critical chance, and Blood Rush is going to give you 440. This is without even trying to make the other two stats help. Yeah. 15% serious chance influence is a barely viable Atlas. Can Atlas even make influence happen at the moment? Same question as earlier, I suppose. Let's, did I have a testing set? I'll use a different weapon. So we got... Let's use Heat Sword for it, I guess. That'll be fine for testing real quick. No, never mind, it's not fine for testing. I've got no thing on it. No, not you. Dima! We don't use you for anything. Yeah, right then. Well, this isn't going to matter anymore, so let's delete this. Cool, that's good. Influence. Yeah, sorry, I've used a term that non-locals won't know. Sorry. Informal North American? I've heard it here in the UK as well, but a situation of result that is of no benefit to either of two opposing sides. The opposing sides in this case being Blood Rush versus Riven. It's not a buff to gain Blood Rush because losing Riven. So it's a wash, it's a wipeout. It's not a net increase, it's not a change of significance. But for those who do not have such high-powered Rivens, yay! You'd love it. Which means, again, it comes down to what is the design intent here, and at no point have DE said they're intending to buff these abilities. Just to be very, very clear on that, at no point in any part of this conversation have DE said that they're trying to buff anything here. None of this is supposed to be a buff. So, let's see. Do they even make any mentions to intended power levels? Just overhauling and giving current exalted weapons a boost. Not pseudo-exalted, just current exalteds. Yeah. So none of it is going to be... none of this says that it's intended to be any kind of buff. Coco say on DevStream, Pablo said it was a net buff. Whilst he may say that things are a net buff, if I receive an extra penny today, then my income has also received a net buff. Receiving an extra penny is not something I would celebrate. So, as much as Pablo may have said a net buff, and we were assessing that we're not sure if it is even a net buff in most cases here, bringing it all together, net buff doesn't really tell you a lot, and the workshop itself hasn't mentioned any indication is trying to buff things. Yeah. More than that, Ray, I feel like more than that. He said net 20% more or less, need to go and check. You'll have to go and check then, Coco, yeah. Can I link the page? This page right here? Yeah, sure. There you are. That's this workshop we're looking at. Net buff to abilities on their own without melee weapons equipped. I mean, this would certainly be a buff to the circuit. This is definitely a buff to the circuit, because on the circuit you cannot guarantee you'll get a Incarnon weapon with crit bonuses to give to Atlas. So this is, hands down, no question, a buff to Circuit Atlas. This over here is probably a buff to Circuit Gara. So yeah, those two are looking happier. Still not certain on Korra. because Cora's not getting any compensatory buffs of any kind. It says on the page, I hope it's to keep the end result relatively unchanged in the battlefield. Ah, yes. Yeah, there we are. For the fans of effective Warframes, your arsenal may look a little different to accommodate these new weapons, but I hope it's to keep the end result relatively unchanged on the battlefield. Yeah, so they're aiming for parity. They are aiming for parity. So, if you lose the Incarnon features, and you lose the Riven, and you lose the 15 times net scaling from ability combo plus melee combo, but you gain back 12 out of the 15 times for the new ability combo, but you also lose the ability to pre-stack it with, say, your normal melee or with the router. We gain Arcanes. Pseudo-Exalted's already had access to the Arcanes because they're on your melee weapon, so that's not a gain there. But Exalteds? Yes. For Pseudo-Exalteds, no. I still think Atlas comes out as a net negative here. It depends on what this 2.8 meter range stat is doing. That might be enough of a increase to be worth it. Certainly, if that adds to the distance of the dash, it's a buff, it's nice. If it adds to the AoE effect, that's huge. But, do Pseudo-Exalted's proc influence? Cora definitely doesn't. I've not tested thoroughly enough with Atlas or Gara, but Cora definitely does not. Weirdly enough. Gara is losing the ability to work with Doughty, but because that's so new, I'm not really going to count that. Yeah, just not going to count Doughty with the whole Gara setup, as much as it is powerful. Blah. The crit chance of 20 with no mention of a crit damage means we're probably leaving that one in the dirt, which is not great. There are ways to buff that up, but it's not great. And the interaction of crits with Massive Itching Fire is going to remain the same. The biggest issue for Gara is that the limit of where this goes to appears to be the same as the limit we can currently get, but it means then that you need to work harder to get there. It's not quite clear. Yeah. You're very welcome, Wad. You're very welcome. From Cocolata saying, got it for those who wanted. Pablo said at 1 hour, 15 minutes, 47 seconds, says it's a 50% increase done in live when talking about the pseudos. 50% increase? Oh, wait. Yeah, Cocolati. He was referring to the damage nerf from 800 to 400, but these were going up from 4 to 12 times. They were gaining this new 12 times feature. That's what these two were gaining, when previously you used the 3.75 times feature, or 4 times as he was referring to on stream, from your melee combo. That's what he was referring to there, if I recall correctly. So he was saying, okay, well 12 times half damage is 6, whereas 4 times all the damage was 4. From 4 to 6, 50% increase. And technically, if you follow just that stat, yes, it's an increase. Ignore everything else in the game. Ignore the Incarnate perks. Ignore the Tenet perks. Ignore the Kuba perks. Ignore how you scale that. Dante's 4 is not a pseudo-exalted. I don't know what gives you that impression. Yeah, Dante's Noctua is an exalted weapon. You can already mod it directly already. And it is getting adjusted because it's gaining an arcane slot. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if I'm recalling correctly, what Pablo was on about with the whole 50% increase there, it is specifically only looking at that stat, and that's just not looking at the big picture. It'd be like saying, It'd be like saying switching from the Bratton to the Foreman is a major increase in damage, because you go, oh yeah, if you look, you got the Bratton here, well, its base damage is only 35, but the Foreman here, its base damage is 500. So if you switch from Bratton to Foreman, you're looking at a more than 10-fold increase in damage. Technically correct if you ignore literally everything else going on. Yeah. 50% bonus for people that don't have Steel Path unlocked. You don't need Steel Path to access the Tenet and Kuva weapons, which is a 60% damage max bonus anyway. So yeah. Atlas is losing Magus Aggress since Landslide will no longer be a hammer. There are going to be niche interactions as well, generalized niche interactions, which are going to cause problems too, in that regard, yeah. I feel like overall, the ceiling is probably by and large coming down. For each of these abilities, for different niche reasons, whether it be the loss of melee Doughty interaction, that really can work well for Gara, be it the loss of Magus Aggress for Atlas, be it just the loss of Incarnate scaling with no compensatory effect for Korra. I feel like the ceiling of all of these is coming down, but the floor also seems to be coming up. I've used them in their more specific ways, the ways that these are leaning into the ability combo counter thing. I think that should be bringing up the floor, but also slightly bringing down the ceiling. How much is slightly is hard to say at this point. Yeah. And then Ash is definitely getting a buff, by and large. We'll have to see if Shuriken is worth it, but 2 to 5 Shurikens should be nice. If the Shurikens could be tied to a stat so you could get even more, that would be very nice, but we'll see. If you're pushing that scene, you're probably hitting for lots of damage already anyway. While true, it depends on just how far down that ceiling comes, because everything is a multiplier. Well, they argue the floor is lower if we count the inability to do buffs outside gaining combo. Uncomboed hits are now much weaker. Whilst uncomboed hits initially start weaker, you have got the higher crits to work with. So, like, in the case of Landslide here, previously you couldn't use just flat crit bonuses like True Steel or Sacrificial Steel to get significant crits. You would need an Incarnate buff to that as well. So the floor on that was a Steel Path Incarnate. That's a very high floor to talk that kind of thing. The actual floor, which was just any old melee weapon slap on those mods, would have been terribly low in comparison. And Atlas isn't taking a damage nerf there. So that is a raised floor for Atlas. When it comes to Gara, gaining again a crit chance that can be modded with might be able to compensate for that. Gaining a status chance definitely should be able to compensate for that. Because if you do a slash attack, and therefore apply those slash procs, with a base 30%, it's not hard to get to a decent rate of applying slash there. Those ticks after a couple seconds will make up the difference. So even at that floor, we're not talking the absolute lowest damage you could do with a setup. That's not an ability floor. The ability floor is the lowest output one would reasonably get. Because the lowest damage output is to not hit the button. Someone is dumb enough to do that, at that point obviously there's no output. We don't measure idiocy. Trust me, you don't want to measure that. As I'll say, it feels like it looks easier to stack. Stacking combo and Statsticks without using the ability felt terrible. It was weird that they used a feature they couldn't themselves grow, but that was only for Gara. Atlas could build combo, Korra could build combo. It was just Gara that struggled with it. And in all cases, they built combo better by just not using the ability and use the ability to maintain it. But yeah. Are they going to review some old mods? You'll have to ask DE on that. If they haven't said it, we don't know. It's a nice broad answer, and it always applies. Weeping Wounds Gara? Yeah. You can already do that with an Incarnate. I called it out in the Melee Doughty video. You can use a status bonus on the Ceramic Dagger in combination with crits from Wrathful Advance, in combination with crit damage from Melee Doughty, to give Gara a crit damage status output to enhance the slash that she's already doing, turning it into this absolutely devastating sweep. When everyone struggle with building combo, router easy. Not everyone has the router, not everyone knows about the router, and the router is technically relatively new, relatively speaking. And not everyone wants to use the router, which I can fully sympathize with as well. Yeah. I know this wasn't supposed to be buffs. For Atlas, Gara, Korra, it wasn't supposed to be buffs. Ashe is being intentionally buffed. To what extent remains to be seen, especially when they lie about... No, not lie. No, wrong words. Especially when they are misinformed about crits. And I can see that these bits up here are straight up a buff to Exalted Weapons. Atla Gara Korra? Atlas? There's an S there, Ken. Atlas Gara Korra. The devil is definitely going to be in the details. And if you were using a Riven before, you are almost certainly going to be worse off. If you were using a Riven Incarnate or a Riven Tenet/Kuva weapon, you're almost certainly worse off. Korra found dead in the ditch if this doesn't change? No. No. Worse off doesn't mean bad. Worse off doesn't mean bad. Is Korra close to being irrelevant at the moment, DevSculler? Answer me that one. Simple yes or no question. Is Korra currently close to being irrelevant? If the answer to that is yes, you're going to have to explain that to me because I don't believe you. If the answer to that is no, then a small reduction in her ceiling shouldn't make her into irrelevant. Simple as that. She's not dead, but she ain't going to be happy. Gaz showed a lot of detailed math. She lost 80% damage. 80%? Gaz showed Korra lost 80% damage? First of all, we haven't even got the stats in-game to work with to be certain on that. 80%. Where is that coming from? This is a 50% drop, but then this is 12 times up from 4 times with Venka Prime, 3.75 times with everything else. That's 160% net. Then lose the 60% from Tenet or Kuva weapons, it becomes a wash. If you're instead using an Incarnate, then it can kind of scale crazily. But she's already got some decent enough crit stats and status stats behind her. 80% sounds wild. She's got 25% crit chance built in. 80% I find hard. Permission to link? Yeah, go ahead actually. Go ahead, let's have a look at it. I haven't run the numbers on this, including Incarnate and Riven, so I could be absolutely shocked on that. Oh god, it's a tweet. Ew, I was hoping it was a video. Ew. We'll have to open it up, I suppose. Shout out to it's community running math before after core changes. Left is God roll Riven. Right is normal build. Okay. Nearly 80% damage lost a new change. Gonna record for now. Okay. So current total damage compared to bottom. Damage, crit chance, crit damage, says chance, base stats, file stats, using... Well, that's using 16% bonus to crit chance, 1 times bonus to crit damage. That sounds like a Magister offhand. Let me see if I'm correct. That didn't search, try again. Is that Magister stat? 16 and 1 times, yes. Okay, so they're using Magister statting. Left with Riven, right without. Okay. With Riven... damage. And crits. Sorry, they've not posted anything about build? And that can't be entirely down to Riven. Alright. Ads, bad timing? Alright, yeah. Okay, I'm going to bring this over for you guys. There's nothing on here I need to worry about, so let's bring this over. Let me show you what I'm looking at here, and why I'm confused as to what I'm looking at. So, we got one side, or there is a video with it as well. Let's try and identify what's going on with this, but yeah. Because this is supposed to be with Riven, this is without Riven. Right, is, yeah, normal build. But just glancing at this, up here we've got crit chance 41, crit damage 3.0. That's using a Magister Incarnate to buff the base values. It's the only thing that matches. That's saying that with whatever build non-Riven, they're currently getting to 29 times crit damage, full modded. Without using the Magister, they can only get to 13.7. That's less than half, but the Magister only increases the crit damage from 2 to 3. Gonna have to see the video on it. Gonna have to see the video on that. How does that math? That doesn't sound right, so we're just gonna have to see the bit. Noisy, noisy. Please don't have any music I'm not allowed to use. Maybe taking into account purple shards. I mean, that's assuming purple shards wouldn't apply, which is a very bad assumption. I am just going to be skipping through Zoros, Excalibur, big Titanium Nerf. Okay, look. I just want how Korra is supposedly dead. Because 80% is a huge claim. Do I think they're going to keep in mind that primes of exalted weapons like Pixie Shift boosted stats compared to their base variants when they're going to change frames like Atlas, Korra, and so on? I don't know what they're going to keep in mind, Darkwolf, as I am not DE, sorry. You're going to have to raise that with them, not me. Sounds like it's max cut and not adding in the bonuses what Korra might gain. We'll just see what they say. So let's hope this volume isn't too crazy.
Before and after on Korra, okay? Because a lot of people are trying to say that Korra is not getting nerfed. Korra, you know, unless you're a Riven user, it's not going to make any difference. Well, I'm going to show you guys the before and after of Korra's DPS math, or rather, Whip Claw math.
Don't show me gameplay.
With a non-Riven build,
this is Mirage.
And then I'll also show you with my God roll Riven what the difference would be, okay? And
why are we on Mirage gameplay?
Is staggering. So credit to iStars for doing the math on this stuff. He is pulling the build from my Invisible Korra video from a few months ago. It was a corrosive anti-acolyte.
This is where you post the build on screen.
And keep in mind, you know, we're gonna get the, you know, once we get these new mods in here, the build will change, but you can't pull this damage out of thin air. A faction mod might help, but if you're gonna be running prime,
don't talk about the build if you're not gonna put it on screen. Range, please, come on.
Good luck getting to that number ever. The answer is you're not gonna ever get to that number. Okay. So let's start off with the no Riven before and after. So, okay, here we are with the DPS nerd math of Korra's Whip Claw. This is going to be the, again, the build for my Invisible Korra video. So as far as the big differences before and after, you're going to be looking at a, well, it's going to be about nearly 75% less total damage when you are looking at the new stuff. With the new combo multiplier stuff, with the crit chance not getting buffed, and with how we are losing base crit chance due to it not being an Incarnon perk increasing anymore, you are looking at, well, basically the orange square in the middle. Total damage per
no overlay, no
38.8%. That is with no Riven. And that's also including the Magus Aggress Arcane that gave increased critical damage for heavy blades and hammers. That was also working on Korra's Whip Claw because it was a stat stick. Okay, so, you know, I'm not going to, like, try to go over...
There it is. There it is. That's the detail. Okay. Right. Christ above. That was a lot of ways of... a lot of extra words there. Woo! That was a lot of extra words. So, in case you missed what was actually said there, there's the difference I was overlooking. And they have got an explanation. It's not bullshit. It's an operator. The setup they were using there, the reason it matters is because of operator, using the hammer bonus, which is why they use in the Magister specifically. But at no point was any of that actually outlined and called out. This is why I make a specific point of overlays, of highlighting the details. So you can follow along at each learnable moment. So you'll be using... Where the fuck would I find it? Yeah, so... On Warframe, melee transference, heavy blades, which apparently also includes hammers, deal plus 300% critical damage for 4 consecutive attacks. And because it's 4 consecutive attacks, if you don't ever use those attacks, it's just permanently there. So that's where that massive boost to crit damage is coming in from. That 300% on a 3 times multiplier is plus 9. Plus 9. So if we then come back to the tweet over here, the difference between the 29 and 13.7, it's actually between 20 and 13.7 in regular circumstances. The extra 9 is from an arcane, which the fact that it even applies is wild, but at this point it's been long enough. If D didn't want it to apply, they could have bloody well fixed it. Or at least announced why. So I'm not gonna deride it as niche and a niche, but this is the kind of thing that you need to explain for people to follow along. Because yeah, if I do 13.7, divide it by 2, times it by 3, to go from the expected 2 times multiplier of new Cora versus a 3 times of old Cora, I get 20.5. And you take 9 away from that, it's 20.0. I don't know where the 0.5 is missing. Maybe there's a slight modding difference in how they're putting it together. Again, a lack of information here. Pretty damn disingenuous? No, it's not disingenuous. No. It's not disingenuous. It's... Gaz, I'm sorry, but I'm going to say this outright. It's an inability to appropriately communicate what the comparison points are. It is necessary to... It's necessary to connect the dots in a way that people who don't already know can follow along. It's not enough to get to the conclusion or to sprinkle in the explanation. I heard it as he was going through, that he called out aggress, and that's when the penny dropped for me. But the penny shouldn't have to drop. If I didn't already know about Magus Aggress and how it interacted, I wouldn't have caught it. And posting up all these numbers, what's comparison to bottom mean? If this is comparison to bottom 73.28%, are we just saying it's 73.28% above, below? I guess it's a divider, multiplier. Ah yes, this times that is this. Is it even that? 28.8 times 0.7328. It is. But it's not the best way to display data. It's really not. Someone who does not remember every arcane will not get it. Exactly, yeah. So, Gaz is absolutely onto an appropriate thing here. Absolutely. Which is that Cora has access to these extra crit bonuses, which have been in the game for a while now. How long ago did we get Magus Aggress? That was introduced into the game April 2023. That's nearly 2 years. That's nearly 2 years. And that entire time, there's not been anything from DE on that one. It's not Gaz's fault he uses the game mechanics? Exactly, yeah. There's no point getting sanctimonious over someone who uses the full meta to get the maximum power. This is entirely a matter of communicating what's going on here, because these numbers are opaque as fuck if you don't know what's actually going on. So we can see here the difference in how they're saying, look, Cora final stats either which way, no change because you can't riven it, whereas existing setups do have a riven, and this is the kind of extra difference you can have. The crit damage doesn't go up all that much because it must be replacing some mod, but you see the crit average change because of the crit chance is huge. And that is a big damn deal. And so when you account for all of that, the total damage is so much more. I do notice there's no total damage stat utilized, which... That's missing a step. But he's not explained, sounds frustrated over a ribbon. One of the big questions people had, and big fears people had, when D said they're going to do this Statstic rework, is what about riven setups? Are we going to have parity with that, or parity lower than that? It's a fair concern. It's an absolutely fair concern. And what I'm seeing here is we're probably not going to get close to parity. 80% sounded like a big claim, but to be honest, I forgot about the interaction between the Magister and Magus Aggress, and this highlights that. Total damage compared to top or compared to bottom, you can see that in this setup, which is the non-riven setup, to explain it fully out, it's saying that the average output is going to be 38.8% of what it was before without a riven, or with a riven, only down at 26.9%. I don't see where 80% is coming from this. That's because 80% will be losing 4 out of 5 damage points. We're losing 3 out of 4, not even that on this apparently. But it's still absolutely valid to bring up. That's a huge drop. If you take out the Magus Aggress interaction, which is still a weird one, it's valid to measure against, but if we take that out for a more typical setup, I should be able to just straight divide and time. So yeah, we go 20... yeah, 38.8 times 29 divided by 20 still comes out to 56.26. 56.26. So this number here would be 56% rather than 38.8 if you take out Magus Aggress. Just napkin mathing off of that. That's still about half damage. Tell me now, anyone here, from how Pablo described it in the dev stream, did you expect that Pablo would be shipping a roughly 40 to 50% damage loss? Straight clickbait? I didn't even see the title to know if it's clickbait or not. Were any of you expecting a 40 to 50% damage loss on Korra? Be reasonable with me on that. This is calling out the effect of using the Magister and Kanon. And we're ignoring the crit damage 29 here. I'm taking 9 off of that. But yeah. I'm getting a 56% net comparison. So losing 44% damage. Rather than losing 60 odd as this is showing, because I'm ignoring Magus Aggress at the moment. That's still big. In terms of damage floor, and that's when you're at full new combo. Which, there's no indication that can be built by melee attacks or anything like that. So you'd have to build it up through using Whipclaw. And if it runs out for any reason, fuck you, I guess. And whilst you're building up to it, Blood Rush and Weeping Wound scale off of your ability combo, not your melee combo. Yeah. Someone using a really well-rolled Magister Riven would Aggress, sort of, a little higher than expected, but I think it should be fine. Oh, it's Simply Tech. I'm talking about Magus without Aggress. Sorry, Magister without Aggress and without a Riven. With Aggress and with a Riven, you lose 3/4 of your damage, is what this calculator from Gaz is showing. I've not verified the math on that, but there is enough here to indicate to me they've probably done it correctly. The full meta application, you're losing about 3/4 of your damage. That's a lot. You're losing 3/4. Magus Aggress is also dead to your setup, so you'd swap that for something else theoretically, but you know, it's still a loss. Maybe range buffs can balance it out. Hard to say, because if it only buffs the range distance you can land it at, not range AoE, then it won't buff it. And that we don't know. I would assume no, because of the way it works on glaives. A range mod on a glaive does not increase the AoE, but I've made assumptions before now on DE being consistent, and that has shot me in the foot. So the actual answer is we don't know. You watched Broslime go over the math, he came out the core, wasn't getting nerfed that hard. Okay, Define wasn't getting nerfed that hard. This is the same as Pablo saying comes out with slightly better. Other people say other things of slightly or not that hard, not that great, not that... Those are qualifiers. I need numbers. Someone can look at a... It's not on there. A 56% damage output compared to before and go, it's not that bad. It's not even halved. It's not that bad. You'll still kill a lot of things. And they'll be correct, kind of. If you deal 1,000,000 damage to a 10,000 hit point enemy, halving your damage down to 500k will still kill the 10,000 hit point enemy. So it's not that bad. Great Broslime impression? Wasn't intended as one, but fair enough. But this is what I can speak to. This is exactly the kind of information that I care for. Numbers. Because if someone worries about losing 10% of their damage, then they care. If someone doesn't care about tenfold loss of damage because they're still overkilling, then fine. They're okay. Aren't Statsticks interactions capped at 3.75 times? Okay, just Carl, the way you phrase that question concerns me that you might not be speaking to the topic correctly. Because it's nothing to do with Statstick interactions. 3.75 times is the maximum damage bonus from a 12 times max combo weapon in terms of a pure damage bonus to the weapon, so to the Statstick ability without accounting for all the other mods involved. So when you say Statstick interactions, it's about the same as someone saying, well, isn't tax capped at 20%? Which tax? What country? It's an almost incorrect question. No, it is an incorrect question. That's why I have to challenge that one, sorry. I'm not sure what you were actually asking. Excuse me. Been talking a lot. Cora's damage is insane even with a Rivenless stat stick. Sure. Sure, okay. Let's take it from that perspective, Filthy Pasta. You say Cora's damage is insane even with a Rivenless stat stick. That's fine. So, Filthy Pasta, very simple now. Do you want Cora nerfed? Single question, yes or no. Do you want Cora nerfed? And I'm not attacking you with that, I just want you to say that. Which way do you think it should be? Not really. Okay, I'm going to drop off the rest of those letters and go with a no, because it's a yes or no question. So you don't want Cora nerfed, but you say Cora's damage is insane as if that's some kind of qualifier for this. You don't want Cora nerfed, and our hope, this is Dee's words, our hope is to keep the end result relatively unchanged on the battlefield. So they also don't want Cora nerfed. So you can understand my concern then, when a fellow creator has someone in their community go through the numbers and finds these staggering changes to the value. If Dee wants to come out to say, yeah, we are dropping the ceiling of Cora, that Magus Aggress is just cut out of the ceiling, Rivens are cut out of the ceiling, the Magister bonuses are cut out of the ceiling, the intent is to bring down the damage ceiling, okay, then say it. And if that's not their intent, well then look at what they've done. Intent doesn't match action. This is what we're poring over. It's all well and good being okay with changes, but I would prefer that D are actively intending any such change. You want to see if Whipclaw will be influenced by range mods before calling it math? Again, yeah, we're missing the 20% of the information. We are missing the information as to how long the recast ability window is for decay purposes. Is it 1 second like Atlas is today? Is it 5 seconds like normal combo is today? Is it something else? Will body count and similar duration mods actually turn this 1 second into 13? The range bonus up here, is this 2.8 going to increase the distance at which Atlas and Cora can hit? I didn't mean a quote. I hate that quote feature so much. Fuck off. I really hate that quote feature. I wish I could turn it off. Anyway. Where was I? Yeah. Is the Atlas and Cora range at which they can hit a target going to change? Or is the AoE on Atlas and Cora going to change with that? We don't know. That's not clear. And yeah, Rumbled is a slot machine. Rumbled for Atlas has been completely unmentioned, and it's crucial to be mentioned because it has completely different stats to Landslide. So it's not like it's a copy-paste. It is a different thing, which also uses a stat stick, which would be your same melee weapon, which just makes it even more frustrating to think about. We are missing 20% of the details, and those are crucial details to be missing. And what details we have points at, in many cases, a nerf. Yeah. Pablo said it was a buff for 99% of people. I think that falls into the 100%. Did he say that? Really? I don't remember him saying it was a buff for 99% of people. I don't recall him saying that. I might be wrong on that. There was a lot that was said, and Pablo does kind of mumble a bit at times. So, maybe he did, but I would love to have the specific quotes on that. We're talking about Rivens. Yes, he did. He said it specifically with regards to Rivens. Well, this is showing that unriven it's still a nerf. 99% of statistics are made up on the spot. Alright. Also, to spin this another way, if you've got two groups of people, and I'm going to make it a dichotomy, two groups of people, you've got a group of people that are so far from the meta that a change to their damage output is unnoticed. They're just pressing the buttons, damage numbers are popping up, enough kills are happening that they're satisfied, they don't care about anything else. I probably fit into that group a good half or so of the time, maybe more than that. I believe many people refer to that as the casual. You're just playing the game, winning the game, you're happy. Up pops the screen, here are your rewards, you feel amazing. The other side, the hardcores, the elite players, however you wish to slate it, those are the ones which are using the meta as much as possible. Those are the ones that do these kind of damage calculations, or even go and find the best Riven they can for this kind of calculation. And they do notice the change in the damage numbers. So in those two groups, you've got people who don't care and people who do care. And if you then got Pablo turning around and saying, the people that do care are going to see a nerf, and the people that don't care probably won't be nerfed. Does that sound smart? When you really drill down to it there, does that sound smart? If that's really the angle that Pablo was trying to take there, that, oh, the people who've done their best to try and get the most out of it, they're the ones that are going to suffer, and everyone else can probably not notice. Is that? Yeah. He never said nerf. If anything, he talked about points toward buffs. Okay, I'm assuming he is Pablo, and Pablo never said nerf, and I feel like you might have missed the last, what, 3.5 hours of this stream, which, fair enough. It's easy enough to miss that and have an opinion on the last 5 seconds. It happens. D have said they wanted things to remain relatively unchanged. My own assessment is that that's not the case. And then Gaz's assessment has taken that yet further and showing with full meta, or simply high meta, it is again not the case. Yeah. We're missing 20% of the details, and the remaining 80% we see is, yeah. Not the greatest. Not the greatest. Now, the best news out of all of this, I have some really amazing news for all of you. If I go Control F, Lavos, Lavos isn't mentioned anywhere in this document. So Lavos is still going to be amazing. You can always look forward to Lavos. Lavos and melee influence is going absolutely nowhere. He is still undefeated in just getting buff after buff. Lavos for the win. On that note, I think it's about time that we do a Platinum giveaway. If you've not already grabbed yourself a ticket for that, exclamation mark ticket in the chat for a chance to win on that. I'll give you all a minute to grab your tickets there. I'm sure many people have missed that. Was that from Vedova? You're the Kengineer? I've never seen you before. I'm sorry if that seems rude. That doesn't seem rude. That's fine. I'm not sure if you mean that as in I'm the Kengineer, you've never seen someone called the Kengineer before, like the channels at all, in which case, welcome. Or if you've only seen me on videos, so only heard me, never actually seen me visibly before, then yes, hello! This face is me. Yeah. Fedrenberg saying Lavos Prime was mastery fodder to me, invested way too much in regular Lavos. Honestly, that's a mood right there. I fully get that. Lavos Prime's only real buff over normal Lavos was his appearance and a little bit of health. If you don't care about the appearance, you don't care about a little bit of health, you're fine. I look a lot younger than you thought I were. Oh, Zoes. How old do you think I am? Not how old do I look. How old did you think I am? I'm gonna go that direction. I'm curious now. How old do you actually think I am? Well, I'm guessing from how I sound. Elisaria, really? You think I sound 17? Off voice alone, we'll assume 28 to 29. Gatorol say 31. Mirror 45. Mirror can go die in a hole. I'm seeing some people I need to be timing out forever here. Something 35? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm 31. Do not let this youthful visage distract you from reality. I'm 31. I'm a nerd, so I don't get much sun. That's what it is. So I may look younger and sound older than you might match to the face, but no, yeah, I'm actually there. Look at way younger than 31. What's the secret? Again, yeah. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, and I don't go out in the sun loads. If I do go out when it's a really sunny day, I wear sunscreen. When you put that together, plus a little bit of genetics on my side, my parents also do not look their age, it's all good. So, as much as my dad was wearing a face mask at the time, a scrubs mask, just, you know, covering his mouth, my dad did get ID'd at 50 when entering into a pub. So, maybe genetics helps a little bit there as well. With a face mask, valid, but when the upper half of the face doesn't give away 50, you know something's going right. You know, something must definitely be going right there. So yeah. Be a shut-in gamer nerd, and don't fall for drugs. You're probably going to look as youthful as ever. That's my entire secret for it for you. Also, stay hydrated. I've gone through all the tea and all the water today now. There's none left. I have to go to the tap after stream. Should wear sunscreen more often? Absolutely. Even if you don't burn, just wear the sunscreen. When you're going out into the sun for more than just a little bit, if you're going out long enough that you might get a bit of a tingle from either a tan or a burn, if you're going out for a bit, just put on the sunscreen. Because otherwise, you think you are both stronger than all of the scientific developments of sunscreen and the fucking sun. You are not stronger than the sun. Protect yourself. Only a moron faces a nuclear reactor without some kind of shield. You hate sunscreen so much? Find one that works for you. There's various different ways of applying it. What can we do now on Titania? Not much different. You can ignore trying to mod the Razorflies because that just got removed. Well, will be removed. And instead, you can put an Arcane onto her Dex Pixia. So the gun build that everyone uses got better, and Razorflies can just die. Yeah. You gonna go fight the sun right now? See, this is why I can't describe myself as an influencer. I say one thing, you do the opposite. What chance do I have? What chance do I have? Alright then, I think it's about time we wrap up with that giveaway then. Everyone who's claimed a ticket, you're in it for a chance to win it. If you didn't claim a ticket, clearly you didn't want one, or you arrived 5 seconds ago and don't deserve one. Because, you have to get it quicker than that. So, let's close the entries. That's been open for well long enough now. 3.5 hours. Let's find out who the winner's going to be today. Sorry, Kajit, if you didn't already grab a ticket, you are far too late on that there. Been up for more than enough time, but there will be others. Don't you worry on that. You'll just have to join on other streams. Will we be able to put Arcanes on Excalibur's Exalted Blade? Yes. Yes, you will. Hi, I'm new to Torch. I presume you mean Twitch, but welcome to autocorrect as well. Welcome, Woods. Welcome, welcome. Influencer forgot to proc electricity. Ah, yeah, that's what it is, Aliu. I need to shock you all first. That's what it is. Shock you, then I can influence you. And on that shocking revelation, let's see, the winner today of the Platinum giveaway is Silency. Alright, that's definitely rigged. Can I get some rigged in the chat for that one? Alright, GG's. ED. That is definitely rigged. Silency with the win on the plat there today. Silency, I'll be contacting you shortly after the stream to confirm your Warframe username, platform, and a cross-save status. Not rigged? No, definitely rigged. It's completely rigged. Absolutely. Cancel me. It's all fake. GG. Darkwolf, I think you forgot to put the space error for the GGs. Either that or somehow you're not following, which would be weird. Thank you, Ken, for rigging the giveaways. Yeah. See, next month, I'll be rigging it so I win. I don't even enter. I can't. Anyway, that's enough on that. I think it's about time we raid on out of here. I'm getting far too silly now. Far, far too silly. Where can we raid on out to today? Who's live on Twitch? That's the question. Who is live on Twitch? We have got... Hey, what do you know? Gaz is live. Seeing as we did just use a bit of Gaz content, we should definitely head on over to Gaz and thank him for it. We absolutely should. So, the raid message today, and I don't usually give you a raid message, but we're going to have a raid message today. The raid message is... this. That's what we're raiding over with. Snacks, thank you for Cora Math. If you have the Snack Raid emote, use that as well. I highly recommend it. If you don't have the Snack Raid emote, you can go without it. We're going to be raiding over that. We're going to be positive about this because Gaz has posted up some very important details there. We want to say thank you for that. We appreciate it. Anyway, that is all from me today. I'll be live again on Wednesday with some more good old Warframe. In the meantime, have yourselves a wonderful start to your week. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.